Hey, everybody. Hi. Welcome to the program. I'm going to turn this back up. Yeah. Uh-huh. Let's feel it. Let's feel the island rhythms here. Late November. Well, 2022. A little bit of 2022 left. We're just about done. We just about made it out. And welcome, everyone, to the Jeff Gerstmann Show. It's a podcast that I do here every Tuesday. It's about video games, ... question mark. And here we are. It's been an interesting a little day here, or I guess the last 12-ish hours. I am thinking a lot about video games that are appropriate for children, because we are going to take on some house guests for an indeterminate amount of time. It sounds like that's going to be happening a little bit later today. One of my wife's friends is pregnant, and she is in the hospital to have a baby, as they say, and has been trying to find some, I will leave the blow by blow out of it. Long story short, we are going to be looking after her kids for a couple of days. She's got two boys. My understanding is that they are 6 and 9. Like if Larry, well, I mean, if Larry King were with us, he might say,
anyway, up 6 and 9, 69.
I don't think that's appropriate. That's probably not appropriate. But here we are. So we're going to be, so we'll have 4 kids in the house for some chunk of time here. And I don't know how that's gonna go. I don't know how that's gonna go. We're gonna kind of play it by ear a little bit. And my understanding, I've been told that these boys are interested in video games, and the word that was relayed to me is that they got mini Nintendos for Christmas. I don't know what that means. When I think mini Nintendo, I am going to assume it was one of the kind of mini SNESes or something like that. But like, are those still around? Well, I guess it's not Christmas yet, so maybe that was like last year that they got those. I don't know. So probably like a SNES Classic or something, maybe. I'm not really sure. So I don't know. I'll pick their brains and see. Look, I've got a lot of video games kind of at my fingertips here. So if they show up and they're like, "Oi, Gov, we've been raised on the ZX Spectrum," I'll be like, "Oh, well, I've got Afterburner right here. Let's get into that." And we can, check out a Tick Attack and all of those sorts of things. And Attic Attack. I don't know. We'll play some, what do we got? I don't know. What's a fun? What are fun video games for kids? Stonkers on the Spectrum. Is that a hot one? What do we got? We're gonna play. We'll play some Bruce. I'll show them some Bruce Lee, something like that. I don't know. Yeah, I hear Goat Simulator actually is quite big with the kids. So maybe we'll check out the little Goat Simulator 3. That's out. That's out, right? That I feel like, and I would have been interested in playing that game, of course. But it's been out for a little bit, right? And I feel like I have seen 0 people talking about it. Absolute 0. Like there was one person last week that said, "Hey, Goat Simulator's out." And I was like, "Fuck, really?" Like I did not know it was out. I did not know it was coming out. And I guess is it part of it is that it is only on the Epic Game Store and not on Steam. So maybe it is not just people are not noticing that it came out. I don't really know. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's an option. I have no idea. So yeah, so they're going to be coming over, I think, in the afternoon here, and everything will be put to the test. We'll see how it all goes. And these are kids that my daughter has met before and played with a little bit here and there. And so yeah, so we've got a couple of guys coming in to hang out for a few days. And I've never met these kids, but my understanding is that they do enjoy video games, and we'll take it from there. I'll be like, I don't know, you want to come out in the garage and help me clean it up? I was out there last night with a vacuum cleaner sucking up all the drywall that had been, because we got some stuff installed, and there's just like, we got that drywall work done here on the for the water damage a few months back, and just all that stuff got left in the garage, and I was like, oh, cool. And finally got some time to get out there and suck up all there's just white dust all over everything. It's like I've got a freaking blow factory back there or something, like RoboCop. A guy comes in and he sticks his fingers in the wine and then sticks both his fingers in his nostrils, and you're like, is that something adults do? I don't know. What is that? What is that guy's doing? Who does that? What's happening here? I am in my late 40s. I still don't know what the fuck that guy was doing. I have never seen anyone do that with wine. Is that a thing that wine people do? Or is it like, hey, he did the drugs and he wanted to clean out his nose with some kind of liquid? I don't know what that was. I just realized that has been like low-key haunting me for decades. I don't know what that guy was doing when he stuck his two fingers in the wine and then stuck the fingers in his nose while they were doing business, where they were doing cocaine business. I don't know. Maybe we'll never know. Anyway. So yeah, I don't know. We've got to get the house ready for that. So the archive of this podcast may be posted slightly late because it's going to be chaos around here, but we'll figure it out. I'm super up for it. It seems like something that'll just be fun and weird, and hopefully it'll be a useful help to, this family's got to go off and have a baby and stuff. So they need somebody to look after these kids. We're somebody. We got a couple of kids. They've made it this far. Why not? So yeah, I don't know. It'll be fun and weird, and I don't know, like I'll hook up a second controller to the Mister. I had this vision. I was laying awake at about 4:30 this morning when I have most of my visions, and it was of these two kids playing Combat for the 2600 on the Mister on the TV here, and I was just like, I don't know, maybe that would work. I mean, it's like it's a multiplayer game. Like, not that Combat is like good, but it's like, hey, it's a competitive multiplayer game. They could enjoy that for a few minutes, probably. So we'll see. I'm just gonna like force weird, super weird old games onto these kids and just see what happens. It's like, oh yeah, well, you like Mario Kart? Yeah, awesome. How about Super Sprint? Here, let me get my paddle controller out here real quick. It'll work a lot like a steering wheel, sort of. So one of you can sort of have a steering wheel. You want to play Hot Rod? Hey, you guys, the new MAME came out today. You want to play some emulated Konami handheld games? I think like there's a Castlevania LCD handheld that they're emulating now. You guys want to check? Where are you going? Come back. We're playing Firefox, the Laserdisc game with Clint Eastwood. You guys like Clint Eastwood, right? So we'll see how that all goes. Black Friday came and went, of course. Cyber Monday. It feels like to me that it feels like the deals get worse every year. There was something in the back of my mind that was like, oh well, maybe Nvidia is saving a lot of stock for this shopping season, and maybe they'll have graphics cards back in stock for longer than 2 minutes. It would appear that the answer to that was absolutely not. Yeah, there were some hard drive deals that looked okay. I don't know. Like it's just a bunch. I don't mean to be like a fucking downer here. But the deals were a bunch of shit. And they have been for a good long time. I bought energy drinks. I thought like, oh, because that's, they're like, we've got a Black Friday deal on cans of C4. And I looked at it and I did the math on it. And I was like, oh yeah, that's about $2 a can. That's a reasonable price to pay for energy drinks. And I need some. I'm running low. So why don't I go ahead and get some of that? But there's one piece of math I didn't do, and that's that it was for the small cans. It was for the fucking 12-ounce cans. So I paid $2 a can for small cans. I paid big can prices for small cans. And I got a variety pack of C4. But they're small boys. These are not tall boys. Ugh. So I've got to double fist these things now. That's not entirely true. I don't have to. I choose to. And I have to open them both so I can stick my fingers in and then, stick it up my nose. So that's my shopping experience. For a minute there, I was like, hey, what if I got some shoes? And I was like, I've got shoes on shoes on shoes. But when we moved down here a year plus ago, I packed a gigantic box full of shoes, probably 20, 30 pairs. I don't know. I'm not like Imelda Marcos over here, but I got some fucking shoes and I don't wear them. I have one pair of shoes that I currently have access to. It's a pair of Adidas NMDs and they're comfortable and they work and they're fine. And I want to get a pair of slip-on Vans, or just like, hey, I need a quick, I just need to slip something on, some house shoes, some I'm going out of the store shoes, whatever, some I don't want to put on socks shoes, and so I'll probably get a pair of those at some point here. But I was looking at like, like, oh, 40% off these $200 pairs of Adidas Ultra Boosts and all this stuff. And I was like, nah, I just don't need them. I want a nice, I want another, and because the pair I have is ratty, and I maybe threw them away when we moved, or maybe I moved them, I don't know, but I just a standard black and white checkered pair of classic Vans, nothing fancy. There's a Vans store nearby that I have not made it to yet, but I assume they will have them in stock. I don't know. Apathetic friend in the Twitch chat says, time for dad shoes, New Balance. No, I went through my New Balance era like, I don't know, 15 years ago, something like that. We were rocking limited edition NBs, fancy fucking white camo, dumb shit, New Balance. I bought a pair of New Balance that had like digital camo. They looked sick. You could have told me that they were Metal Gear shoes, and I would have been like, yeah, fuck yeah. And I bought them in Japan, and I still have them. And I have tried them on once, because Japanese shoes don't go up to size 13 American. They go up to size 12. But they were so sick looking that I was like, well, what if I buy these one size small shoes anyway? I'm sure it'll work out, because they just look so good. And they're only, this style was only sold in Japan. All that other shit added up to me going like, yeah, fuck yeah, this is a good idea. Fuck no. It's not a good idea. It's a bad idea. And so I tried them on once and went like, this doesn't work at all. So I have this basically unworn pair of size 12 New Balance shoes. It's not unlike when at E3 they were doing the weird like if you're standing in the right spot in front of E3, then you can location based buy this pair of PlayStation Nikes. And I went through that process, and by the time I got through that process, the 13s were out of stock. I was like, well, I should get the 14s, which of course they don't fit. So now I have like then those are super limited. I should see if I can trade those for a 4090 because those are both items that are sold on fucking StockX. So I should sell those shoes. They don't fit. They're useless to me. I'm not gonna like put them on a shelf and go, look at the PlayStation shoes from E3. So I should go to the fucking sell your shoes for too much money website and see if I can and see what I can get for those size 14s. It's either a lot or a little, I bet, because like size 14, they probably didn't make a ton of them. So if you want size 14 in those shoes, I bet there's not that many. I don't know anything about it. It's but I guess this is a long-winded way of saying I spent some time looking at what the markups were on 4090s over the last 24 hours or so. And it's not good. I see the captions. Someone just pointed out that the captions on the live feed are broken. That's fine. We'll just turn those off. I don't know why that's not working right now, but here we are. They are marked up somewhere between $700 and $800 right now. That is the graphics card markup seems to be somewhere in that range. Regardless if it's a Founders Edition or whatever, the $2,000 Asus edition or whatever. El Generico's favorite orphan on the Discord says, contact Kenny Omega. The Bucks might want those PlayStation shoes. Yeah, like the Bucks wear size 14s. Are those guys like 5'2"? So yeah, anyway. It looks like the price of the graphics cards are the markup is starting to like slowly trickle down. And I don't know if you can look at that and that means that like this market is eventually going to stabilize and eventually get back to normal. And I know that the PlayStation 5 markup has really started to fall apart. And maybe that'll be good things. Maybe that'll lead somewhere good. I don't know. Seems like all that stuff is getting slightly easier to find. Eventually the graphics card thing will stabilize, but it's like that graphics card is still like, people weren't mad at the markup price. People were like, hey, this thing is $1,600, and people were like, fuck that. And yeah, so I don't know. Eventually that market gets to a point where they run out of people that are willing to pay that type of extreme price for those graphics cards, and whatever happens. I don't know. It's weird out there. It's bad out there. They're young, but they're not. They're probably not 5'2", right? They look short compared to actual tall wrestlers. They have that cruiserweight vibe to them, right? Anyway, that's what's going on around these parts. I don't know. I don't know why I was looking. I don't even really, why? I'm like, oh, well, what's the markup on these? And the sick thing is I was looking at it going like, oh, $700. That's not so bad. In the grand scheme of things, that's not so bad. That could be a lot worse. All right. Word from Google is that the Young Bucks are around 5'10 and 5'11. Okay. I'm still going to say that they probably don't take a size 14 shoe. But hey, what are you going to do? What we're going to do is we're going to take a break. Oh yeah. Also that's wrestling. Yes, of course. That is wrestling height. Not to just like sidetrack and talk about wrestler height here, but like I remember like the thing that shocked me size wise when I went to interview some wrestlers in New York before WrestleMania. It was whatever WrestleMania that I think John Cena took the US belt off of Big Show, I think was what went down there. But so I interviewed Cena, who was about as tall as you think he's going to be. He was about as tall as I was, maybe slightly taller, which seemed about right to me. But the thing that when we interviewed Rey Mysterio, who of course Rey Mysterio was a small man. That's his whole thing. He's a small man. And it was Christian was the guy that I was very surprised, because Christian on television, just looks like he is the same height as all the other guys generally. He just looks like he's in that same range. But I was like, man, I'm significantly taller than Christian. That's weird. I would have not have guessed that. Because he carries himself, I think, as a much bigger, like, I don't know. He carries himself as a larger wrestler than maybe he is. Not that that's not me saying he's short. I mean, I'm 6'3". Well, more like 6'2" these days. But I was 6'3" then. Yeah, I don't know. I was surprised. I did not expect that Christian would be. I always just assumed that Christian would be right at my height, same height as like a John Cena, like basically right there in that same basic range. And then the one time I was backstage at WCW and walked past Hulk Hogan, and I was like fucking flabbergasted by how large that man was. It just didn't seem like, again, like Hulk Hogan, because he's standing next to, especially at that time, he's standing next to a Kevin Nash, he's standing next to a Paul White, all of that sort of stuff. You're like, oh yeah, Hulk Hogan, he's a big guy, but he's not like a big guy. And then I walked past him and was like, fuck, that guy's like a head taller than I am. That was very surprising. Anyway, sorry. Let's take a break. We'll get into these ads. We'll come back. We'll talk about some video games and, whatever else is going on. Right? Right. What will you do when emergency strikes? What will you do when your computer is gone? It's on fire. A hard drive is out of control. What will you do if a hard drive gets up and walks away? Disappears out of your computer completely? What will you do when that hard drive starts going click, 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 click? That's just fun making these noises. What will you do when those files are just completely smoked? Well, here's what I do. Backblaze is what I do. For just $7 a month, Backblaze will back up your files. And there's no, if you've got a Mac or a PC, that's it. It's unlimited. That's not like a per gigabyte. It's $7 a month per computer. And you don't have to think about it beyond that. If you expand on that machine later down the line, you're like, hey, there sure were a lot of 20 terabyte drives available for somewhat more reasonable prices over the last week or so. So maybe, hey, if you just said like, hey, F it, I'm going to put 40 more terabytes in this machine. Backblaze is like, yeah, that's cool. All right. Yeah, we'll back that up too. We can handle it. That's Backblaze. You install the software. Some light configuration is available if you choose. And that's it. It does the rest in the background. You don't have to think about it until there's a problem. And when there's a problem, you can log into their web app. You can download your files, get back up and running in no time. And if you've lost a lot of files, they will mail you a hard drive. They'll just send you a hard drive in the mail, the USB stick, however, whatever you're recovering. You just get that in the mail, copy the files off, send the drive back to them, and that's it. You get a full refund for the drive. There's no extra fees on top of all that stuff. Just $7 a month. That's right. And if you've got projects that you need a little bit more retention on, for an extra $2 a month, you can increase your retention history to 1 year. That's great if you're running a business. It's like, you got a business. You're like, oh man, that project we were doing 9 months ago, I got this thing. Hey, a little extra retention. Boom. Backblaze, good for you on a personal level, good for you on a business level, all of that sort of stuff. And now you can get your hands on Backblaze with this free, fully featured, no credit card required trial by going to backblaze.com/Jeff. Head on over there. Go to backblaze.com/Jeff. Support the show, all of that stuff. And also check out Backblaze. It is the sort of thing that I have been computing since the 90s. I know a thing or two about yanking a hard drive out of a machine in pure disgust and saying, man, that thing didn't even make it a year. Or, hey, this hard drive had a great run, and I'm surprised it made it this long. I've been on both ends of that spectrum for sure. But in both cases, the result is the same. The data is gone. And I've lost a lot of data over the years. But now, Backblaze just makes that stuff astonishingly easy. You install it, you tell it if there's things you don't want it to back up, or, you want to do different things like that, some minor little tweaks that you can have, and it just does the rest. And then again, you just don't have to think about it until you need it. And it's been great for that. I have restored terabytes of data from there. That's right. I have tons. I have 2 machines backing up to Backblaze, terabytes on terabytes on terabytes of data. When Backblaze says they've got nearly 2 exabytes of data storage under management, and it is growing, a chunk of that's mine, baby. That's right. Make a chunk of it yours and sleep soundly, knowing that if all of your hard drives just grow legs and walk out of the building or something like that, you've got options. You've got Backblaze. Go to backblaze.com/Jeff right now. Check out that fully featured trial. No credit card required right now. Backblaze.com/Jeff. All right, we're back. Let's talk a little bit about some video games. Shall we? I have been playing a little bit of a game called Astlibra Revision, I believe is the full name. And it is on Steam. It is a Japanese developed game. It is a side-scrolling. They bill it as an action RPG, but it is a side-scrolling combat game. You are walking into town, you are walking out of town, you are cutting up slimes. The early parts of the game, you have a stick for a weapon. And I have not played a ton of it, but I want you to go look at it. It has a demo that features the first chunk of the game. Also, I guess it has some kind of some late game combat in there as part of that demo. I just decided to dive right in. And it has a look like a game. It looks like a game that came out on the Super Nintendo, and this is the re-release update of that game that people are looking at and going like, man, I wish they would have done more with the graphics on this, because it's got a decent little look to it. I'm trying to describe it. I keep wanting to say painterly, but that's not really the style of Astlibra. Astlibra, Astlibra is the name of the game. And it's interesting because like the copy that they've written about it is like, it takes you back to the golden age of JRPGs with side-scrolling action, slashing, smashing, thrusting. And you're like, wait a minute, that's most of the golden age of our JRPGs did not involve side scrolling or action or slashing or any of that sort of stuff. So it's kind of a weird, it's a weird thing. But yeah, that's it. Yes, Rec Roulette's got it right. It has kind of a Vanillaware-esque sort of style to it. And you are beating the crap out of these first enemies, these slimes that you encounter. Like you're just mashing the button. You're mashing the attack button. It's not fancy, but it is making this combat look dramatic because you are getting a billion hits in on these slimes before they just explode into coins. You can hold up and do kind of an upward attack. So there's a little bit of a launchery, jugglery kind of thing. You do eventually get a shield, and when you hit down on the D-pad, it will use, it'll put the shield out there. You can do a shield bash, like a shield rush, really. But the story is you are a boy, you meet a girl, a demon attacks your town, you wake up in a cabin, and there's a talking crow there, and then you and the talking crow decide to try to find other humans, and also 8 years have passed. So 8 years later, since the demon attacked, of you being in this cabin in the middle of nowhere, surrounded by nothing, you then decide to get out and go look and try to find other humans. So and then there's a big cave. And they're like, and I think that is maybe the first big thing you do is to get in the cave and do stuff. I don't get the impression that the entire game takes place in you like going in the cave over and over again, but I can't say for sure because I'm still kind of getting into it myself. It's very materials focused also. So like once you get out in the world, you are attacking trees and then they are falling over and you were getting materials. There are mining spots. So you want to have, like, you have to craft torches in this game too. It's like a weird, and you're like, you're finding the sticks. You need to go find, like right now I'm on a quest to go find resin so that I can make my first torch so that I can go into the cave for the first time. And it's a whole thing of backtracking around these areas and killing things over and over again and all that sort of stuff. So my early worry is that Astlibra might be a little grindy, but it's got a good feel to it on the combat side, even out of the gate with just using a stick and a shield. It has you can really wail away on stuff and it feels nice. So again, there is from the sounds of it, a pretty meaty demo out there for it on their Steam page. The full name is Astlibra Revision. That's Astlibra. And I would say give it a look because it feels like one of those games that really kind of came out of nowhere, and when you launch it, every bit of its vibe is like this game is a small game made by Japanese developers. Like you can right out of the gate, you're like, okay, yeah, the font work, everything about it, the way it's presented, all of that sort of stuff. Even when you do the even when you start the game, it's like, hey, do you want to see the prologue? There's no action in it, and it's really long. Like they're just like telling you up front, like, hey, this thing goes for a bit. It's actually, but the intro actually not that long in the grand scheme of things. So I would probably say yes to that, and so you can see the crow for yourself, all of that sort of stuff. Everyone's favorite, the crow. Rest in peace to Brandon Lee. Yeah, give that a look. The other thing I've tried out is Quake 1. Have you heard of this? Have you heard of Quake? id Software made a game called Quake. And then someone made a version called vkquake-rt that has full ray tracing in Quake 1. And so I've been playing that a little bit. And it looks great. When you can really do full ray tracing, and it's kind of why I'm interested in seeing what this next generation of graphics cards look like, just to see like, hey, how, like what's the performance hit, all this other stuff. But like also like when we get there, developers will maybe start taking advantage of it in a full way. When you see full on ray tracing in an old game, because it's been like Quake 2, There's that Minecraft add-on, which is still, have you tried to do ray tracing in Minecraft? It is still a weird, annoying thing. It's not like a graphics option like it is in real video games. You just go like, yes, I would like ray tracing. Done. It's like, hey man, you got to download a texture pack. You got to go get the right texture pack that's got PBRs in it. You're like, yes, PBRs, yes, professional bull riding, professional bowling. Wait, Pabst Blue Ribbon. Wait, what are we getting? And so you have to go find this optional downloadable texture pack, install it, and then it'll look right, and all of this sort of stuff. And it's really crummy. I thought that was going to be a crutch. I thought that was going to be some temporary thing for Minecraft, and they were going to be like, all right. That was just the preview. Now here it is for real. Just turn it on and you're good. But it's not. And that's stupid. But yes, the ray tracing packs and stuff for the updated, the modern version of Minecraft, the Java Minecraft, you can kind of do software ray tracing or like kind of like fake it a little bit, but it still can look outstanding. But if you want to do the actual like RTX graphics card shit, you are almost certainly using the modern, I guess, bedrock version of Minecraft, which I kind of want to get back into. I don't know. Anyway, Quake 1 with ray tracing. Again, it's called vkquake-rt. It's on GitHub. You download it. You install Quake from Steam. And when you launch it, when you launch this other executable, it goes like, hey, your id1 folder isn't here. Do you want us to find it from a Steam folder? And you're like, yes. And it goes, all right, cool. We're good. And you are playing Quake with full ray tracing. And it looks very nice. I don't know, it looks like Quake 1, whatever. But like it's stuff like the way that firing off the super nail gun or like a grenade from a grenade launcher, the way it will light up a hallway. And Quake is such a dark game, and you forget that like there's a lot of water in Quake. There's a lot of underwater scenarios and stuff where it's very dark down there. And so fucking around with things that cause lights and all of that sort of stuff is awesome. And it looks fantastic. You're like, wow, this is really great. Like you see it and you're like, man, ray tracing is awesome. And then you go look at a game made in the last 12 months that has ray tracing on it. And you're like, yeah, I guess, I don't know. I guess that, yeah, there's more, the puddles look nice, Whereas like in Quake 1, the portals, the teleporters shimmer and have the contents of the portal on the other side of them and all this other stuff. They just announced that Portal, this is something I think when they announced the 4090, they said, we're going to remake Portal with ray tracing. They did just announce this morning that is going to be coming out on December 8th. And I'll be interested in seeing how that looks. With my 3090, my piddly ass graphics card, this 3090, God. Ugh, throw it in the bammer is what I say. But it's that sort of stuff, and that's the disconnect, right? Is when you see these older games with more simple graphics where they can just ray trace the shit out of it and the performance hit doesn't matter, then you go like, dang, this seems like kind of a big deal. Like when it's working as intended and it's this full-fledged, fully realized ray traced lighting model, it looks great. You're like, this is incredible. It's crazy that this works. This is so awesome. And then you go load up Watch Dogs and it's like, oh yeah, you can have, if you want to see like really good reflections in the puddles, we can give you those. It's going to cost you like 35 frames per second. If you're cool with that. And yeah, it just, we're not there yet. And so I don't know, like, I guess it's the sort of thing that when you see Quake 1 and when you see, and even Quake 2 did this to a certain point, but you see those old games, you understand the promise of it. You understand that like when games get here, when the tech gets good enough to actually support this full-fledged, fully path, whatever lighting model, all this sort of stuff, it's going to be some shit. It's going to be really cool. But like, I don't even know, like, well, even if the 4090 is capable of doing that, in a big way in a modern game, let's assume, I don't think it actually is the case, but let's assume developers just aren't really doing that, right? They just aren't, because not enough people have the hardware to take advantage of it. It's probably not worth their time to fully devote themselves to the ray tracing life. And so they don't. And so it becomes like, yeah, I don't know, turn this on and you'll get a performance hit, but boy, these puddles. Boy, these puddles. But seeing Quake 1, you go like, man, when this all finally lines up someday, it'll be way too expensive for anyone for a good long time. But when this finally actually gets to where it's going, it should look pretty cool, hopefully. Yeah, will DLSS 3 make it easier enough to do it in more games? The other stuff they're doing to make it a little more automated or a little bit easier for people to make mods that add ray tracing to games, like this Portal thing, whatever they're calling it, the stuff that Lightspeed Studios is doing. Maybe that'll be cool. I mean, that'll probably be cool. But will that be cool enough? I don't know. These are the sorts of things that drive me to want to get a 4090, because there is a part of me, and this is not me saying like everyone should go get one of these. It is just me saying like, I have a sickness, and also this is my job, and also I feel like I should be able to speak to this a little bit better, and I should know where that card kind of sits performance wise and all of that sort of stuff. And it's a tax write-off, so that's me saying don't. I also think that the graphics cards are too expensive, but there is a part of me that is just like, well, if I get it before the end of the calendar year, it's a tax write-off for this year, and blah, 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 blah. But I don't know. We'll see how that all shakes out. But it's a good reminder that like ray tracing is really neat, but games aren't really taking advantage of it enough yet. And, we'll probably head further and further in that direction over the next handful of years, but will we get to a point where people feel like it's a must-have feature? Like, that's the thing, right? Is it doesn't, there are other ways to do your lighting, other ways to bake your lighting, all that sort of stuff, whatever, that still looks fantastic, turns out. And so when will that be a situation where people go like, well, I've got to get a card that can handle ray tracing? When, like, I can't, like when the Voodoo 2 came out and it could do colored lighting, it was clear you needed to have a Voodoo 2 card, because you're like, I need that colored lighting and I need it immediately because Quake 2 is here and Quake 2 has colored lighting and we need that. We need all of that right now. And so I went out dutifully and purchased a Voodoo 2 as soon as I was able to around the launch of the Voodoo 2. I yanked my Voodoo 1 out of my machine and said, blah, down in the dirt, you piece of garbage. And I got that Voodoo 2 and I put it in there and the lighting was colored and it was glorious. And it felt like it was worth every single penny. I don't know that there's anything that you can do with a 4090 right now that has that same feel to it, right? The ray tracing is better and it can do AV1 encoding, which not a lot of things support yet. And you're like, that's all cool. Those are great features that all makes sense. But it's not like, oh, I've got to get these cards. There's nothing like that. So I don't know. And the Voodoo 3 felt like kind of a farce. I don't know. Just like that Voodoo 2 though, that was a sweet spot. That was a moment in time right there. Boy, I remember getting that thing. The Voodoo 1 was awesome. Like getting a Voodoo card and all that other stuff and hooking it up to my, my Diamond Viper VESA local bus. My 2D graphics card. I had my 2D graphics card and then my 3D graphics card. And much like a Sega CD, you had to run the video from one to the other and then out to the monitor, which is ridiculous. And then at some point, someone came out with a card that was both 2D and 3D in one card, and you're like, that's against God's way. that can't work. And sure enough, I think a lot of those early combo cards, I want to say that the 2D, because that was a time when 2D acceleration mattered and all that other stuff, they were really shitty at the 2D side of things. And so it was like, oh, yeah, you can get this combo card, but like you can only run in like what, like 16-bit or, like 12-bit, 8-bit color on your desktop. Like your desktop is going to look worse and run worse because this 2D side of this card is garbage. That's how I remember it going down. I remember clinging to my 2D card, that base of local bus, that hot card, and in my 486 DX4 100, and going like, no, we are not going to get a combo card. We are going to keep buying 3D add-on cards because that is the way and the light. And anyway, are things better now? Yeah, probably, because we don't think about things like 2D acceleration and all of that sort of stuff. It's just understood to work as well as you need it to, pretty much all the time. And the 3D cards, I don't know, no one can buy them anymore. So they're theoretical at best, unless you want to give someone $800 more than you're supposed to. And then you could have one by the end of the week. What if I had one by the... No. What? No. Absolutely not. And then honestly, other than that, I've been fooling around with a little bits and pieces of games here and there. I have hit the 2nd prestige on Call of Duty. That means I am over level 100. And I have hit, I have a lot of gold camos for my guns. And I am still really enjoying that game. I had a 6th place finish in Warzone last night. That was a heartbreaker because I was geared up so well. I was like, I could win this one. And when I won a Warzone match on the first night the game was out, but the stats were not there yet. There was something broken with progression or something like that. And so now it is not registered that I have won a match. And that makes me very sad. But yeah, I'm having a great time with that game still. It is still a ton of fun. They're doing a bunch of dumb stuff where I have to predict the outcome of soccer games to win stuff. They're still doing that. I had to look up the betting line on like what was it? Tunisia versus France, and just go like, I don't know. I guess I'll pick France on this one. That's what the betting line seems to indicate. And then I think there's one more game that you have to predict. But if you get 4 predictions right, you get if you get 2 predictions right, there's one gun you get. If you get 4 predictions right, there's another one you get. I don't know. It's dumb. And then they're selling skins for soccer players. You can play as soccer players. We talked about this already, but Neymar Jr., which is he's a soccer man. Yeah, his skin comes with a couple of really good gun blueprints, and yeah, I've been having a ton of fun with that. It's still really good, and like I said, I have hit the 2nd prestige, which is crazy. I know they made it way faster. They made the leveling curve. They pinballed it out a little bit. They're like, no, we want normal people to be able to hit the level cap. We want normal people to be able to get gold camos and do all this sort of stuff. And so they've made a lot of stuff more attainable than it was before. So I don't really feel like it's a 1-to-1 comparison to older Call of Duty games when people say, oh, I had prestige, I did this, I did that. Like, it definitely seems like they have made the leveling curve a lot easier in Call of Duty this year. And yeah, made that stuff way more attainable. and hitting, second prestige, which is something I don't think I have ever done. No, you know what? I probably prestige twice, if not 3 times in the original Modern Warfare 2, if not Call of Duty 4. But actually, it probably was Call of Duty 4. I think the one I played the most of is the one that I played when I was unemployed, which would have been late 07, early 08. So that'd be Call of Duty 4, not the original Modern Warfare 2. So anyway, I don't have much new to say about it. The DMZ mode is fascinating. There are a lot of weird bugs in that game and exploits, and so it's just a lot of stuff where there's people who are like, okay, here's what you do. You go in your inventory, you get some cash, you drop it next to a gun, and then you look away from the cash and look at the gun, but the cash is still kind of in the way, and when you pick up that gun, you're going to suddenly have $1 million in cash on you. Then you go find a dead drop site, okay? You take your cash over to the dead drop site. This is, they fixed all the other exploits. You go to this dead drop site, you deposit cash in the dead drop site, and every time you do, you'll get 1,000 XP. But you've got $1 million, so you can do it over and over again and just grind this XP out, and you can level all your guns in 5 minutes or less. And it's just like there's been so many different ones of those. And then there's a problem in Warzone where someone can make the boats fly. And so you see images of, I have not encountered this in game, but I've seen a video of flying boats, which is fun. And then another situation where people are somehow able to jump great distances and basically do the jump and the dive in such a way that it looks like they are doing the worm at a super high speed across the map in a way that you just look at and go like, that seems wrong. That seems like something they should maybe fix, along with the flying boats. So, yeah, I don't know. But that game's super fun. I don't know. It's got some funky shit in it, but that's almost more fun in a weird way. Because it just seems like there's lore forming around, not lore, but there's so much did you hear about this? Anything seems possible right now because the game is in a slightly weird state where once you see a flying boat, all other bets are off because people are like, did you hear that you can do this? And then when you jump out of the airplane, you can get into this. And okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to load a bunch of claymores onto this recon drone, and then we're going to fly it up here and do that. And just like that, there's just a bunch of weird tech, and people are just doing a bunch of insane shit. And it's super fun. All right, we're going to take another break here before we get into the news. So stay tuned, and we will be right back. Wait, where am I going? It feels like there's a billion different books out there that are trying to teach you a little something, the kind of nonfiction, whether it's self-help or secrets of the business elite and all these sorts of things that you're like, I bet I could glean something from this, but I do not have time to read this entire book. Or, hey, I want to know up front if this thing's going to be worth my time. Another solid situation that I think we've all found ourselves in at one time or another. Well, hey, how about Blinkist? Blinkist is the app that allows you to understand the most important things from over 5,500 nonfiction books and podcasts in just 15 minutes. So with Blinkist, you can, broaden your horizons. You can have, new perspectives kind of put in front of you from a variety of content. They've got 27 different categories, and it's bite-sized and audio first. 15 minutes is all it takes to get powerful insights into different topics, and it fits your lifestyle. It's a great little audio experience. You can fit a little education, edutainment into your everyday life and all of that stuff. So, that's the power. That's the power of Blinkist. Reggie Fils-Aimé's books on there. There's just a wide variety. The Marie Kondo with the, hey, here's how to clean up your stuff the right way. All of these sorts of things are solid, like solid ideas to get in front of you. But honestly, I'm rarely going to have the time at this point with young kids and all of this other stuff to just kind of sit down and just like sight unseen, read a book, no recommendations, all that other stuff. And there's not a lot of people I talk to that are into this sort of stuff or anything like that. So it's not like I'm getting personal recommendations for full books. But Blinkist will recommend you some. You can also share Blinks with other people. You have a premium membership that you can use Blinkist Connect to share that account and get 2 premium subscriptions for the price of 1, which is pretty cool. And you can share little bits and pieces of what you're finding out there. Personal growth, baby. That's what it's all about. Whether you're trying to figure out like, hey, I'm just trying to do some personal growth. I'm trying to learn better reading skills. Why not start with some audio before you get into the whole reading thing? You can do it. The 7 days to podcast pro. There's do you want to podcast like a professional? Listen, now there's Blinkist. It's an app. You install it. You get served. You get to look at all of these different books that they have broken down into their core tenets and principles, and then experiencing them, those key points in like 15 minutes. That's a hot way to get information fast. And right now, Blinkist has a special offer just for you. Go to Blinkist.com/JeffG to start your 7-day free trial and get 25% off a Blinkist premium membership. That's Blinkist. That's spelled Blinkist. Blinkist.com/JeffG to get 25% off and a 7-day free trial. That's right. Blinkist.com/JeffG. And for a limited time, you can even use that Blinkist Connect, share that premium account, 2 premium subscriptions for the price of 1. Dang, that's a deal. Okay, we're back. We're back. Are we back? We are back. Whoa. My voice in my headphones ringing in a weird way. It's a weird effect. The disco ball fell on the ground. Anyway, hi. Let's talk about the news, but first. Super Mario Brothers. It's not just for breakfast anymore. They're making a movie. And they're going to show a trailer today. I guess at 2 p.m. they're going to have another little live stream where they show a new trailer for the film. This is the animated movie starring Christopher Pratt, who is an actor. And yeah, a bunch of stuff is leaked out, some promotional images, some other stuff like that around the film, showing like a Super Mario Brothers plumber's van, which is kind of cool. And there's word going around claiming that it's going to be around 100 minutes long. And I am going to say that I have been shown some internal data from the movie side of things that seems to indicate that the movie is actually 86 minutes long. And also along with that came the information. So the movie's out April 7th. And I also, along with that, is that it sounds like that the streaming date, the digital purchase date, appears to be May 11th. According to this data, this is all subject to change. It's all tentative, of course, right? But currently, what they are listing internally is a May 11th date for streaming and digital purchases, and that airlines will get the movie on July 1st. So if you're flying in July of next year, perhaps you might be able to see the Super Mario Brothers movie that way. And yeah, 86 minutes sounds about right for a Super Mario Brothers movie, for a kid's animated film like that, right around that 90-minute mark. 100 minutes, not that far off, but 86 seems like just let's crank as many Let's crank as many showings as we can every single day. Let's get kids through here. Boom, 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 boom. But we'll see. We'll see where it ends up coming in. But that seems like, yeah, I don't know. That 90-minute mark feels like that's, you know, hey, if you're making comedies, if you're making kids movies, like that seems like maybe where you end up sliding your runtime in around that whole thing. At least that's how it was in the 90s for sure. That last trailer, they're going to put out this other trailer. Who knows? I don't know. But that last trailer looked fine. You just listen to it. You listen to the dude's voice and you're like, yeah, no, that's just Chris Pratt talking. That's funny. That's just Chris Pratt doing an accent. All the build up, all the hype for his supposed voice. And then you hear it.
Mushroom Kingdom, here we come.
And you're like, yeah, okay. Sure, why not? And I bet that movie will be absolutely fine. Here's my bet though. I bet that movie is not going to be as well received as the Sonic the Hedgehog film was. That's my guess, is that people will come away from this going like, yeah, it was fine, whatever. You know, Sonic was a cooler movie. Something about this I think kids will gravitate towards Sonic and his edgy attitude a little bit more than whatever is going to end up in this thing. This thing seems like it'll end up being just like, I don't know, I'm guessing at this point, but it just seems like it's saccharine. I don't, you know, like just way more of a kids movie and way more of just kind of bleh. That's the vibe I get off it, is like, if it like I bet by qualitative metrics, I bet people will go like, yes, Sonic was a better thing. Money wise, you know, that's a whole different thing. The popularity of the franchise, the marketing muscle, all that sort of stuff. Like maybe Mario ends up raking in more money overall because it's freaking Mario. But yeah, I don't know. That's my guess, is that it will come in under Sonic the Hedgehog in by some metrics. Because yeah, as Pocket Bacon says, Mario as a character is boring. He's just a fucking guy. Like, you can map whatever onto him, and that's cool for video games because you're like, I don't know, he's playing fucking golf. What's he doing now? He's driving a car. What's he doing now? Playing 70 of the worst mini games you've ever seen in your life. Like, oh, okay, what's he doing now? He's a referee at a boxing match. Like, what? That guy can do anything. Sonic the Hedgehog, for as much as those games are fucking garbage, the character has attitude. He's attitudinal. Also, yes, furries, very hot right now. Kids love furries. The kids love to yiff. Don't you watch the news about the litter boxes? Of course Sonic is going to be bigger. Fuck me. The world is fucking so dumb. The world is so impossibly dumb. I can't. All right. Speaking of adaptations, this one, it sounds way more interesting to me. Splinter Cell is being turned into a BBC radio drama, according to videogameschronicle.com. BBC Radio 4 is going to start airing episodes of the series next week. Like, what? Where did this come from? What the fuck is happening? Sam Fisher up on the radio. Sam Fisher on Radio 1. I don't know. Sam Fisher's going to be playing the hottest funk records, the hottest funk and jazz records. Sam Fisher getting out there. If it moves, funk it. Let's see here. It's an 8-part series that will start on December 2nd. It will broadcast on Fridays from December 2nd at 2:15 p.m. What kind of thing? I don't like. I'm still amazed that radio dramas still exist in any way, shape, and form. So this is all weird to me. But yes, I don't know what else airs on BBC Radio 4 if it's all just talk radio or whatever. But anyway, there's going to be an 8-part series that is a radio drama that is a Splinter Cell story, and it will. Let's see. According to the synopsis from Video Games Chronicle here, it says, when a lethal assassin from Fisher's past returns from the dead on a mission of murder, he is thrust into a race against time as a sinister threat to global security is revealed. And yes, this will follow the 4th Echelon agent Sam Fisher on a new mission, recruiting and training the next generation of Splinter Cell operatives for the NSA's Covert Action Division. Covert Action Division is really good. It's our Covert Sim Strategy Division. Our Covert No Hesi Server Division. Sam Fisher is being played by someone named Andonis Anthony, who's in something called The Archers. And also his daughter Sarah will be in there. It says, the VGC story says, the role of his daughter Sarah, who teams up with her dad, is played by actor Daisy Head. And they've got some other names here. Including Will Poulter, who was in The Maze Runner and We're the Millers, who gave a statement, I really hope fans of the Splinter Cell game enjoy this, as not only does it have all the action, tension, and excitement that the game is famous for, but it also has more elements. There's a lot of comedy. The drama is expanded and horizons broadened by the characters and what they get up to. It is taking the best of Splinter Cell and building on that to make something really well-rounded. That seems weird. And I guess, let's see. It says here, all episodes will go live as a box set on BBC Sounds in the Limelight podcast feed on December 2nd. So it sounds like they'll air them on Fridays, but they're also just going to dump them all out there on the 2nd, which is soon. That's like this week. I don't know. It's been so long since there's been anything at all related to Splinter Cell, right? And now, yeah, there's the animated series thing that it was announced at least, and Ubisoft has at least confirmed that they were working on some kind of remake or something like that, but it's been a while since we've heard anything there. And so any kind of movement on the franchise is at least interesting, but I don't know. The idea of a story of Sam Fisher trying to train the next generation, like that, yeah, sure, that's okay, I guess. At this point, Sam Fisher's been around a long time. But, like, if you're just going to reboot it. Like, there's no reason to not call him Sam Fisher. There's no reason to go, like, now you've got to play as Sam Fisher's daughter, or now you got to play as this cast of characters that we, like, I guess. I don't know, I guess. We'll see if this ends up having anything to do with the future of the games. Also, I think that's a potential weird twist, right? Is this going to end up, will any of this voice cast factor into that new game? Or anything like that, or is this just purely a one-off thing that they licensed and did, and why why did someone go, yes, Splinter Cell, you know what we need to do? That's right, an 8-part radio drama over here at BBC Radio 4. It's just weird. I don't know, but that's cool. I will try to seek out, is this one of those VPN type deals where it's like, oh yeah, you can load up the iPlayer, but unless the BBC thinks you're in the UK, you can't actually listen to it or watch it or do anything with it. Am I gonna have to be a spy of my own and route my traffic in such a way that it allows me to listen to it? We will see. But like my reaction to this is, yes, I will listen to this. I will listen to at least part of the first episode and see what's up with that. I want to know what a Splinter Cell radio play sounds like. I mean, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy was good, right? So why wouldn't this be? What else? In Australia, they have introduced a bill to Parliament that would ban loot box mechanics in games for children, or I guess actually things that are not for adults. This is according to Kotaku.com. Federal politician Andrew Wilkie, an independent, introduced the bill into Parliament yesterday. He proposes that loot box mechanics, where players use actual money to buy random in-game items, prey upon the same impulses as gambling does, and so on and so forth. He suggests that any game with loot boxes should not only be restricted to those over the age of 18, which is the legal gambling age in Australia, but should also carry warning labels specifying the reason for the rating as well. Yeah, that seems like it makes sense. They've got a quote here from part of the bill here on Kotaku. This bill remedies this by requiring the classification board to consider loot boxes when classifying game. Further, the board must set a minimum classification of R18 plus or RC, which is refused classification, the thing that Australia uses to ban games, as they have done with such hits as Mark Echo's Getting Up Contents Under Pressure. Which will restrict children from purchasing and playing these games. The amendments also require a warning to be displayed when games contain loot boxes or similar features so that they can be easily identified by parents and guardians. Yeah, I think this is this is probably we've reached a tipping point with this, I think, where that just seems like it's getting to be something of a no-brainer, right? Like, I don't see any downside to this, unless you're the video game industry, in which case they're like, but we like to, but I think the video game industry has been given quite a long time. It's been years since Battlefront 2, and obviously this conversation started before that, but like, remember Battlefront 2 and Need for Speed that year. Don't forget, Need for Speed that same year was in some ways worse than Star Wars Battlefront 2 was when it comes to loot boxes and getting gear for money and all of that sort of stuff. And I think that the video game industry has been given a good long time to clean up its act, and we've seen a large transition away from this stuff in many games over to battle passes and things of that nature, where instead of just here's a random blind box and who knows what you're going to get, it very clearly becomes like, if you play to this point, you will get this. If you play to this point, you will get this. And I think that that is a much more acceptable path. You can say you don't like that type of content, but at some point you're just saying you don't like paid add-on content for games. And at that point, I would say that ship has sailed. Like, that's modern games. They will add content into games. They will ask you for some money for some of those things. And it is up to individuals to decide whether they want that content or not. Just like they can sell it or not sell it. Just like they sold expansions to Warcraft back in the day. Except in this case, the expansion is a hat. But when you get into random elements, when you turn it into something that more closely resembles gambling, obviously that is a very different thing. I think that when they started, I think it was when I saw what are they even called? There's a breakfast cereal. We bought a box of it. My daughter hated it. It was like the LOL surprise. It was like basically you're buying a blind box toy and you don't know what you're going to get. And some of them are super rare. And you're like, fuck you. When I started seeing more of those in real life, it just seemed gross. But obviously this stuff has roots back in packs of baseball cards and all of that sort of stuff. But yes, seeing this stuff work its way into games and seeing some players go like, oh yes, I've spent thousands of quid on FIFA Ultimate Team packs. It's fucked. It's fucked. That probably shouldn't be a thing. And or rather, I guess what my actual thought is, that can be a thing But I don't think kids should be allowed to get anywhere near a game that chooses to include that sort of stuff to that degree. Whether it's your Diablo Immortals or your FIFA Ultimate Teams or your Madden Ultimate Teams or your UFC Ultimate Teams or the way Overwatch did it back in the day with their boxes and stuff like that. Yes, Genshin Impact, paying for pulls, all of that sort of stuff, like the gacha game stuff. There's that stuff I feel like totally can exist. Why not? Like, yes, but we probably need to be better about keeping kids away from it and to have better controls for people who, there are people out there who are just actually addicted to gambling, actual clinical problem, and this stuff can prey upon them in a pretty serious way. And it's one thing to say, hey, we need to make sure that this stuff is not getting into the hands of kids. I agree. That's the right way to do it. But also some kind of, like, whether that's a system level, platform level, whatever it is, like finding ways to say, we're putting daily limits on how much you can purchase. We're putting, things in place like speed bumps that prevent people from just like feeding their credit card into the thing over and over again until they get their 5-star anime lady, or whatever. Like, people need to be able to enact those limits. People who go like, are able to recognize, yes, I have a problem, and so I have turned on these limits for a reason on this account to ensure that I don't go beyond them. And that sort of stuff, like finding ways to better support people like that, but also, again, protecting kids from, I think, even interacting with those games in the first place is maybe the thing, because like it's not enough to say like, oh, kids can't buy these without their parents' permission. I think it's more of a, maybe we need to not be showing kids that this is a thing. Maybe we need to be putting in something in a place where it's like, okay, these are going to be in games that kids don't even really see, so that they don't understand that exists, and so that they don't get that mentality burned into them at a young age. I don't know. I don't know what the right answer is here. I want, obviously there are going to be people who want to engage with those sorts of systems, and I think they should be allowed to if they want. I don't think it's something that has to unequivocally come out of every single video game in the world and all of that sort of stuff. But it's a situation where it's like those sorts of random loot boxes just need to come out of games. And in a lot of games they have, right? I mean, as this stuff picked up steam, the last time people got really mad about it, a lot of games got their shit together and they're like, got their shit together and said, let's find a different way to get money out of people. And now we see battle passes in every game and stuff like that. Generally speaking, I think the battle pass is an acceptable route for this stuff. It does create that whole fear of missing out. It does create a situation where you see exactly what you could be getting if you paid the $10 for the battle pass or whatever, and creates that situation of like, oh man, I gotta my friends all got the battle pass and now I need to too. Like, the peer pressure aspect of it that kids can get into. I think that there are aspects of that are not great, but it at least shows you everything, right? It's like, here's what you're buying into. And in cases where a battle pass expires, like, here's how much time you have left to interact with this system before it is replaced with a new one. I like that Halo Infinite is doing a setup where like those battle passes don't expire. So you have an infinite amount of time to work on said battle pass if you so desire. I think that's the right way to do it. I think especially because I think there are so many games doing it now, right? There are so many different battle passes out there that if you're, you can only play so many of those games at a time. This happened to me with Rumbleverse, where I bought the Rumbleverse battle pass and played quite a bit of it. And when I first started playing, I was like, man, I could see myself maxing out this battle pass. I could see it happening. And then a bunch of other games come out and I got busy with other stuff. And, then suddenly you're like, oh, it's the last week of the season. and I need another 60 levels, 50 levels, whatever, 40 levels on this battle pass. I'm like, I just don't think that's going to happen. And that's lost to the wind now. I think limited time items. I think digital, basically, I guess I'll say, I think digital scarcity sucks. Because it is completely fake. It is completely manufactured. It's not a situation where it's like, oh, we can only manufacture so many, it's not like, I can only make so many of these graphics cards. The factories, we only have so many of them. You understand when something like that happens. I think physical scarcity, like manipulated, forced scarcity of limited edition items is also a problem. When it comes to just like the way that shoes are sold, the way limited edition shoes, we talked earlier about me having to stand in a specific spot to try to buy a fucking pair of shoes. That's dumb. Let anyone who wants the shoes buy them. Period. If you want to make the initial run a bit of a pre-order, kind of like if you're there fast, you get the first run, fine. And then everyone else gets in the second wave. Hey, okay. But I think the way that shoes are handled, I think the way that Nike and Adidas both have their own separate apps for manipulating people into like, oh, the drop's happening here. And if you're in Chicago, you can get this shoe. And if you're here, you can get this. It's just fucking gross. And then when you take those levers and those manipulative setups and apply them to digital items that can be produced in perpetuity, infinitely, at that point, you're just deliberately being a scumbag. You might be able to tell me, you might be able to convince me like, hey man, these shoes are hard to make. We only made this many of them. And I'll be like, that's bullshit, but hey, I respect you trying to lie to me. But when you say, oh yeah, man, if you want this fucking t-shirt for your Call of Duty, man, or if you want this, this hat for your Dota lady, you better act fast. Because it's only here for another 9 days. Or we're only making 5,000 of them. Go fuck yourself. The supplies are not limited. Operators are not standing by. And it absolutely sucks. Trying to do this sort of stuff. I feel like there are probably some exceptions to that around like, hey, we did a deal. We did a marketing deal for a movie and they are restrictive with their license in such a way that we can, the same way cars licenses and games expire and stuff like that. Like, I think it makes sense that like, hey, maybe in 5 years you can't buy the fucking Neymar, whatever, the soccer guys skins for Call of Duty. Maybe those are things that expire. But I bet they'll expire in 90 days or less, right? That's probably like a, hey, the World Cup's over and now those skins are going away. You should buy them now. Like all that sort of stuff, right? I don't know. It's, the limited edition digital stuff I think is really, it's just nefarious. It's like really trying to pull levers that don't need to be there and really trying to manipulate people, which, in conclusion, capitalism. Speaking of which, let's take another break. And we'll come back and talk a little bit about some more news. How about it, huh? See you in a minute. Hang on. You ever get the impression that shaving is just one big racket? I mean, no matter which way you turn, it's like, okay, here's these plastic handles with 9,000 blades on them for, I don't know, what, $15 or something for, what, 2 of them, 4 of them. Or over here, you've got a subscription service that wants to send you razors and blades, whether you need them or not, for the rest of your living days. It's just... you got electric shavers that don't really quite do the job as close as you would like. And it's just, it's a hassle. Shaving. Just the process of getting the gear together and not getting ripped off in the process, or having to wait at the supermarket going like, well, they decided to put these blades behind glass, and now I've got to push this button and wait for someone to walk over here and open up the razors so they can sell me to them because they keep getting stolen. Ugh. It's there's got to be a better way, as they say. And guess what? There is. It's Henson shaving. Henson shaving uses regular razor blades that you can get for a very low cost, and they make a space age, very fancy, very useful handle that holds those razors in super tight to make sure you get a super tight, super clean, super close shave. Henson Shaving is a family-owned aerospace parts manufacturer that has made parts for the International Space Station and the Mars rover. And now they're bringing that precision engineering to your face. Your face! They got these aerospace-grade CNC machines to make these metal razors just extend. This is a very small number, 0.0013 inches beyond the handle. That locks that blade in tight, so it doesn't wobble around. It doesn't result in nicks and cuts and scrapes, all of that sort of stuff. Just lock it in there for a locked-in, clean, close shave. Henson's trying to build the best razor, not the best razor business. That means, there's no plastic in it. There's no subscription services. The blades aren't even proprietary. That means, if you want to replace the blade, it's like $3 to $5 a year to replace the blades using standard dual-edged blades. So it gives you that old school shave with the benefits of new school technology. And that stuff comes together to result in a, cheaper over the course of, years of buying blades and buying these stupid plastic handles and all this other stuff. No. Just get standard dual-edged blades, put them in your Henson shaving handle, and go to town. You could even shave more often if you want to. At these prices, you'd be crazy not to shave more frequently. It's time to say no to subscriptions and say yes to a razor that will last you a lifetime. Visit hensonshaving.com/Jeff to pick out the razor for you and use the code Jeff to get 2 years worth of blades free with your razor. Just make sure that you put those blades in your cart. It's like to use the offer code, but also put the blades in the cart. The blades will ring up as free, all that other stuff. That's 100 free blades when you head to hensonshaving.com/Jeff and use the code Jeff. Shaving. You may have been hearing some folks say that winter is coming, but let me tell you, winter is here. You know what that means? It's cold. And it's hard to find the right temperature when it's time to sleep. So why not do what the spacemen do? That's right, NASA. Yeah, that NASA. And stay at the perfect temperature all night long using silver-infused bed sheets from Miracle Brand. These were inspired by the technology that NASA uses to regulate temperature and all of that sort of stuff. These self-cooling properties make for a better quality sleep. That silver-infused fabric, which again, originally developed by NASA, means the sheets are thermoregulating and designed to keep you at the perfect temperature all night long so you get better sleep every night. That silver also helps eliminate bacterial growth, 99.9% of said growth, in fact, leaving them to stay cleaner and fresher 3 times longer than other sheets. So that means no more gross odors. You can wash them a little less frequently, so, that's saving time, that's saving water, all that sort of stuff. That's nice, too. But hey, they're also luxuriously comfortable, and they don't have the high price tag of other luxury brands. That makes them, as we look at the calendar, a perfect holiday gift for your spouse, friends, or family. Who doesn't want better sleep and luxurious feeling bed sheets? And these come with 3 free towels. That's 2 gifts in one. That's right. It's all better for your skin, too. Stop sleeping on bacteria. The sheets stay cleaner longer, which means less gunk on the sheets, and the gunk doesn't get on your skin. We don't need more gunk on our skin. Lord knows, I've got more than enough gunk on my skin as it is. Go to trymiracle.com/Jeff to try it today, or gift it to someone special this holiday season. Here's a special for you. Save over 40% off and use that promo code Jeff at checkout to save even more and get 3 free towels. Miracle is so confident in their product. It's backed with a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you're not 100% satisfied, you will get a full refund. Upgrade your sleep with Miracle Brand. Go to trymiracle.com/Jeff and use the code Jeff to claim your free 3-piece towel set and save over 40% off. Again, that's trymiracle.com/Jeff to treat yourself, a friend, or a loved one this holiday season. And thanks to Miracle Brand for sponsoring the episode. All right, we're back. Let's finish up with the news here. It's Pong's 50th birthday today. It's not just an abstract concept, this whole Atari 50 thing. Today is apparently, if Wikipedia is to be believed, I don't know. This is the build date as the 50th birthday of Pong, which I guess would mean that's the anniversary of it being placed in that tavern where the story happened with the coin box getting overflowing and all of that sort of stuff. It's crazy to think that, well, I was going to say that video games are 50 years old, but I guess video games are older than 50 years old. You know, Pong is not necessarily the first, it's the first commercial application, but of course, you had your computer space and some of that other stuff happening around that time and in the decades, in the years prior. But yeah, I guess 1972. That's before I was born. Not by much, but yeah. I don't know if you've seen a Pong machine in person. I recommend it. It's neat when you see it, especially, like you realize how old it is and the idea that it made it this far and survived and all of that stuff is, I feel like that's one of those things that just gets more and more impressive as time goes on. When you see a full-on arcade Pong machine. There's a few out there in museums. The museum in Texas seems to have one. I would bet that the Strong probably has one, if I had to guess, but I don't know. I don't know. Maybe there's a list online somewhere of like publicly available Pong machines if you want to see one. But I always think about the big computer space cabinet that my local arcade used to have. And this would have been, this was, by this point, it was like 1980, something like that. But it was this gigantic, wide machine. And it was the 2-player, it's computer space. So it's like 2 ships flying around, shooting each other. There's like a black hole in the middle. And all of the buttons were keyboard keys. They felt like the keys on a keyboard for rotating the ship and thrust and shield and all the firing and all that sort of stuff. And I should find a picture of one of these because, obviously, like there was after computer space came the other. The name even eludes me right now, but yeah, all the discrete circuitry era of arcade games and all of that weird stuff is really kind of fascinating to see, and to think that like it would be less than a decade between Pong and Pac-Man. So we would go through the whole Space Invaders era of black and white games, and then suddenly you would have more and more color games, color Space Invaders clones, and Nintendo made Space Invaders clones. Everyone made Space Invaders clones in the late 70s. Nintendo had one called, I think it's called Space Fever. That was theirs, but there are a zillion different rip-off Space Invaders machines. And that we would eventually get to Pac-Man, and the mainstream success that happened in the United States around video games and arcades and all of that sort of stuff. I guess I was just the right age for all of that, it was the perfect time for me. It hit me at the exact perfect time. And I don't remember what my first video game experience was. The earliest arcade experience I can remember is trying to play a Space Invaders pinball machine, which that came out, much later than the original. Yeah, that came out in 1980. So I would have been 5 at that point. And the thing about playing pinball when you're 5 is you can't individually hit the flippers separately. So you just kind of mash on both of them at the same time. It's a really shitty way to play pinball, but also you're probably too short to even see what the hell is happening. But I remember seeing one of those at an arcade in San Francisco. And I think that might have been, it was certainly one of the first times I played video games. Pinball, if we lump pinball in there, obviously it's mechanical and all that sort of stuff, but fuck you. I don't feel like having that distinction right now. And of course, just Pac-Man Fever and how popular that was, and being there for the transition of Mario from Jumpman to Mario when they decided to give him a name, and the Donkey Kong cartoon was on, all that sort of stuff. Like, it was just, it felt like everything was happening so fast, and it felt like every time you went to an arcade, there was something new and weird there. And because everything was still so new, it felt like there weren't really any rules for what the games were. I mean, games would fall into broad categories. Like, this one, you're shooting. This one, you're running around. This one's a maze game. Because of Pac-Man's popularity, like, maze became an arcade genre because you had Ladybug and all this other stuff that would come along and try to, the same way everyone made a zillion Space Invaders clones, suddenly there were a zillion different Pac-Man style games, Crush, Roller, all of that sort of stuff. And all of that, the Saturday Supercade, which had a variety of video games represented in cartoon format, and that show is still not available in a wide format. Like, there are some episodes of that are on a lost media website that are just like, yeah, we don't know what happened to this, but like, that had a Donkey Kong Jr. cartoon. That's where the Q*bert cartoon was, where it was like the characters of the Q*bert video game, but like they were in the 50s, so they were wearing leather jackets and Letterman jackets and in diners and shit. It was just that was their interpretation of Q*bert. Really fucking bizarre, but crazy to think about how far video games have come. And it's truly, none of us were here when movies were invented, right? And I wonder if it felt like this when movies got to be, 50-ish years old and seeing some of the technological leaps forward in terms of, back there were silent films, whatever, into talkies and all that sort of stuff. I wonder what people felt, but it's one of those things that just like, it's accelerated so rapidly. If you went back, if you were able to take, I don't know what, Spider-Man, Miles Morales, if you're able to take a PlayStation 5 and a copy of Miles Morales back in time and bust in on someone who had just finished programming the Atari 2600 version of Spider-Man, which is a pretty good game, all told, and just set that down and be like, yeah. It's cool, man. You can go up the building and get the bombs, and yeah, I don't know. Check this shit out. And yeah, I don't know. It's 50 years is not that long of a time. I mean, it's a long fucking time, believe me. As someone who has almost been alive for 50 years, oof, it feels like a long fucking time. But yeah. It's weird to think about Pong being 50 years old, and the idea of like commercial video games and all the stuff that kind of came in the wake of that, whether it was the Odyssey 2 and the Fairchild and the 2600 and, just all that weird ass, or even just the home Pong machines. Like before there were cartridge based devices, companies were selling just fucking little boxes that played Pong, and they'd have the little dials directly on it. Some of them were like, wait a minute, what if you could pull the dial out and hold it a little further away? But some of them were just right on the device, and so you had to like crowd around this fucking thing that was hooked up to the TV, and it could play Pong and maybe like 2 variants of Pong if you were lucky, 2 or 3, and all that sort of stuff. You know, we had I don't know, like I encountered it late. It wasn't something I was playing when it was the only option around. I had other video games at the time, but like my grandparents had one of those Pong machines. And so we would set it up on the TV occasionally and play it. And I just, at that point it's kind of lost on you a little bit. Even a handful of years past that thing's relevance, you're like, yeah, okay, yeah, Pong. All right, fine. We're over here playing Crystal motherfucking Castles. I ain't got time for Pong. Maybe not quite Crystal Castles era, but but in that sort of zone, it's Pong felt old fast. Pong was very much a thing that you would see and go like, oh yeah, okay, all right, yeah, your black and white video games get fucked, and you would move on. but yeah, let's move on to emails now. podcast@guard.bike is the email address. Send in an email to me here, and I will sit in this room and read it at some point over the course of the week. And if I like it, I will put a little star next to it, and that means I might read it on the show. But then I might not. There's some starred emails here that have been here since, let's see. Here's one from October. Here's one from August. Here's one from August from Al. The subject line: this is fucked up, right? Was at a Five Guys and saw someone get a regular Dr. Pepper out of the Coke freestyle machine. Psycho shit. Yeah, Al. I agree. I mean, if you encounter a Coke freestyle machine, which is still, I don't know, I can't remember the last time I saw one. Take advantage of its weird flavors. Get a orange Dr. Pepper or something. Get a orange vanilla lemon Coke. Let's see here. Well, now I'm back in this like ancient history thing of here's Josh from Michigan wrote in about Saints Row. Remember they put out a Saints Row game this year? Hey Jeff, the LARP guns you use in the LARPing missions feel better than any of the actual guns I've used in the game. That's true, Josh. Yes. The guns you use in the LARPing sequence, spoilers, are actually more fun to use than a lot of the actual guns in the real video game. It's a tragedy. It's but one of the tragedies. Phil has a hypothetical question. There's another dimension exactly the same as this one, except for one thing. Video games were never invented. The wormhole to this other dimension is about to collapse. There is only enough time to throw one game through to represent all games. What game should we choose? I would be curious to, like, in lieu of video games, what did that dimension do instead? Did they like cure cancer, or did it burn to the ground? Do you think it is a better off society or a way worse off society? Are people losing their memory earlier and earlier because they're not jogging their brains with video games on a regular basis? Lochno suggests a game called Mr. Do. Imagine if that was the fucking Rosetta Stone, like the like fuck Pong, fuck Space Invaders, like all of that. Like think about the idea of everything springing forth from Mr. Do. If that was what you saw and you're like, well, that's video games. Okay, well, can we make more of these? Like, yeah, I think so. We have computers. We have stuff. We could probably do something. And you have to sit down and go like, okay, well, what do we do? What happens with what's this guy do now? I mean, is every game have a clown in it? Because like, what do they take away from Mr. Do? They're like, well, okay, I guess we gotta put a clown in it. Thomas says Superman on the Atari 2600 represents today's world perfectly. Yeah, sure. The bridge blows up. You arrest the criminals. Then you go to work while dodging kryptonite satellites. That's pretty. It's pretty straightforward stuff. Yeah, Mr. Do in a world where Dig Dug didn't exist. Like, let's remake that movie where the guy fucking goes to like somehow wakes up and the Beatles don't exist anymore, and he invents the Beatles. Except it's a guy wakes up in a dimension and he invents Mr. Do. And no one's ever heard Mr. Do before. And it doesn't have the context of Dig Dug existing or anything like that. We're going to write that screenplay. I don't know. I think the game you would throw through that wormhole is like, what would be the game that you could see video games truly springing forth from? Like, if you showed someone this, what would get the concept across in the most pure way that would lead to people understanding why they need to make more of them? Would you just put Pong through? Probably not. Would it be like a Pac-Man? Oni suggests Tetris or chess, and like, yeah, but like, I feel like Super Mario Brothers, yeah, maybe. Yeah, you could almost see Super Mario Brothers conceptually being like, okay, like there's a handful of concepts here at play, and so what are you really trying to put together and all that sort of stuff. Like, could video games spring forth from that game? Or would you warp it entirely and just be like, oh, we've decided to throw the scariest fucking thing through, and now it's a disaster? Like, would you put a modern multiplayer game through, but only one copy of it, and so they can read it and so they can see the implication of like, oh, well, there's supposed to be another one of these, and we can play together somehow and drive them insane by causing them to invent network infrastructure and all of this, like all of the stuff that like adapting it to support the game, and would the internet exist, and like all that sort of stuff. Like, how would that all happen, and all that type of scary shit. I don't know. Let's see here. Jacob asks, an impossible choice. Would you rather have a new season of John Benjamin Has a Van or a new season of Kroll Show? That is not an impossible choice for me. I would take another season of John Benjamin Has a Van. Nothing against, I thought Kroll Show was pretty fantastic. But John Benjamin Has a Van is like on another level and is such a specific fucking weird thing that it is just great on its own. Kroll Show is a great sketch show and all that. Like, it's awesome. Some very funny stuff on there. Very funny people on that show. But John Benjamin Has a Van is something else. Zackleby writes in and says, my significant other and I accidentally started a very large amiibo collection. Yeah. A shameful admission, to be sure. I'm ashamed, but there are a few that have gotten quite high in value. Do you think this value will continue to increase over the years? Will my now 3-year-old be a millionaire by the time he is an adult? Mm-hmm. I bet that stuff crashes eventually. I bet that stuff crests at some point and falls apart. Like that's I can't imagine that those are just going to last forever and go up and, you know, eventually they're not going to be useful in games anymore. Also, there are a lot of them out there, and I think as you know, when this stuff settles and they're not being sold anymore, it will become clear just exactly how many really exist. And it's not like they made them in some limited quantity, anything like that. Like if you want one bad enough, you can get one. And so I think you'll eventually reach a point that anyone that wants to collect amiibos will have collected them, and then no one else will want them, and then the value will crash. Because there just won't be they won't be selling anymore because everyone who wants one will have one. I think that'll probably happen with a lot of video games eventually too. But you will run into situations of like, well, how many sealed copies of this truly exist? How many sealed copies of this old game in this specific variant in this high quality condition exist? Like those sorts of things will have value. But the people who are out there like, I bought a limited edition copy of Doom Eternal with the helmet and I keep it in my garage. That shit ain't gonna be worth shit. Anyone who wants one of those has one already. Anyone who truly wants one. And so what are the odds that how many people are going to go, I've got to get every single physical PlayStation 4 game or, you know, or whatever it is. Like not that many, you know, like people aren't that crazy, all that other stuff. It's just not, you know, like I've got a bunch of sealed Disney Infinity figures, and with those, like maybe the Disney aspect of it makes it worth something in a zillion years, but like probably not. Also, a lot of, you know, the thing to remember is like now in this day and age, you have more and more people asking questions like this, like, ooh, is this thing that I have worth a whole lot of money? I better hang on to it. And so things that would just get fucking tossed out like baseball cards. I'm just like, man, fuck these things. You know, it's like, oh, all right, I played with those for a while and now they've been in the spokes of my bike for a while and who cares? Like now you've got a lot of people going like, oh, well, this might be worth something someday. I better hang on to it forever. And so a lot more stuff will just make it longer, decades. So you'll have just more examples of the item around than there were 50 years ago, 100 years ago, whatever you have. And so I think that there's just a lot more of that stuff just out there now, especially modern stuff. You know, it's like how many, like, you know, like I've got a sealed copy of fucking the Persona dancing game limited edition for the Vita that I ended up with. Or no, I'm sorry. That's I have Persona 4 Golden sealed for the Vita, I think is what it is. No, like who cares? Anyone who wanted one of those probably got one already. It's a great game. There will be a lot of different ways to play it for years to come. There already are. Digitally, emulation wise, whatever you want to say, like there will be like the game itself will be playable. So buying it for the very idea of, oh, I need to buy this so that I can play it, that's not a factor anymore. And yeah, yes, that Persona 4 Golden Special Edition is, yes, it's worth like, yeah, like $700, something like that right now. Like, okay, sure. It will not stay that way. That value, I think, will eventually crash. There are probably more of those out there than you think, because you got people to go like, I better get 2 of these. One for opening and one for not opening. And collectors are weird, man. They do, you know, and people have been thinking that way for long enough that it's like when things finally settle, you know, maybe that thing stays at $700, but it's not going to be $1 million. It's not going to be some like, I've got this Persona 4 Golden is now worth $50,000. The things you want to collect, I feel, are from before the era when people said, oh, I should collect this. And so that's how something like Magical Chase or something ends up being worth. Who knows? Who knows? Like what a sealed copy of that, I think sold for what, 15 grand, 16 grand. And I think it was in slightly worse shape than mine. And it's the only other one I've seen online. So how much is that really worth? Maybe someone will dig up, maybe someone will like open a box in a warehouse tomorrow and go, oh shit, there's 1,000 sealed copies of Magical Chase in here that are in perfect condition, and the value will crash. Or maybe they won't. But stuff that is generally older from, you know, older than the concept of collecting a thing. Not that people didn't collect video games back then, but like the idea of like a sealed copy of a video game from the 80s or 90s is very silly. And is largely accidental, I would think. It was like, oh, huh. How did I end up with a copy of Yoshi's Cookie? That's weird. And so everything now is artificial scarcity. All these like, we've got a limited edition, collector's edition. It comes with a steel book. I'm like, fuck you. Stuff's garbage. It's worthless. Unless you're truly making it in super limited quantities. But even then, if you're advertising this being made in super limited quantities, then the people that are collector weirdos just fucking snap them all up and keep them sealed in the first place. So what's the fucking, why? It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? That's why I think, you know, like when it comes to me cataloging my games and figuring out what I have and all other stuff, I only care about the physical stuff because that's the stuff that A, is easy. It's out of sight, out of mind. And it's the stuff that is going to, you know, potentially have some kind of value at some point. Maybe. But the vast majority of this stuff is not going to, I don't think it's going to gain any kind of real value. And so amiibos, if you've got them sealed, if you opened them, then fucking throw them away now, right? I mean, if you want open amiibos that have character data written to them, those things have been selling like hotcakes for a long time. There are a billion of them out there. When those become useless, people will flood the market with them, and then you'll be like, oh, I was at the Goodwill, and look, it's Samus. And I got it for $3, you know, like that sort of stuff. But if you've got a good batch of sealed mint on card amiibos, then yeah, you know, maybe someday those end up being worth something, but you're not going to put your kid through school on it. I don't think. Let's see. Look for some other questions here. Holden writes in and says GTA 6 should have highlight. I agree. With all the GTA 6 leaks confirming it is back to Florida, what are the chances it has playable highlight this time around? I think the game's central plot should revolve around highlight gambling and match fixing. You know, something the kids of today will really relate to. Yes. And a whole side quest around where you are murdering people for Credit Pig. Also. Skylar from Tampa writes in and says, any renewed interest in the analog pocket after the update that opened up the FPGA cores for anyone to work with? Someone just recently, again, this was sent in September, someone just recently ported a SNES core to it that was originally for the Mister. Yeah, there's been more and more Mister cores getting ported to the analog pocket, and that's cool. I have not purchased an analog pocket. I have not pre-ordered one. I think if if they were currently a little bit better about their ship dates and stuff. Right now, if you order one, it just says you'll get one in 2023. I think if they narrowed that down a little bit, I would consider getting one, but I don't need one. I don't want a device that takes real cartridges. I really don't want to deal with that. And so I don't know that I have a big use for it. Like, I've got a Mister, and that plays all of that stuff and then some. And then if I want to have a portable experience, I think the Steam Deck is very capable. Obviously, it's not going to be as accurate as an FPGA, but it does great in a pinch. And it just works fantastically for that stuff. And so I feel like my needs are being met by those devices. And yeah, the whole aspect of the analog pocket and real cartridges and, you know, the open cores and stuff. I know some of the Mr. cores have been getting ported over there. There's like a beta or some kind of alpha version of an Amiga core, which playing an Amiga on a handheld seems like a disaster anyway. But okay, sure. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just not that interested in it, I guess. I don't know. I would like to see one. Maybe seeing one in person would really turn me around on it, because I think they do make nice hardware. But I don't necessarily need it. And so I have not purchased one. I haven't really sought one out very hard. Sebmall in the chat asks, has the credit pig thing arrived? It is not. I have not seen it yet. Maybe it will arrive today, but I have not seen it yet. I'm keeping my eyes peeled. I'm keeping my trash can open and ready to receive it. Matt writes in and says, let's talk about the Nokia N-Gage. Which, just sight unseen, I put a star next to and said, yes, let's. And now here we are. Is the Nokia N-Gage the only Finnish game console? Let's lump the original and the QD model together. Also, if you've got any in storage, the batteries might need to be checked. Yeah, I guess it's probably the only game device from Finland. I don't know. I guess I don't know. Where did the Connex multi-system get developed? I don't know. The N-Gage was a disaster. The N-Gage was out of the gate, first seeing an N-Gage, it did not seem like it was something that people wanted in any way, shape, or form. And when you got your hands on it, it was this weird push and pull of like, man, this thing really sucks. But at the same time, you were looking at it and going like, this is kind of the console version of Tony Hawk 1 or Pandemonium, which was, there was a Pandemonium port for the N-Gage. And seeing that running on a phone, even though the frame rate was shit, the aspect ratio, you know, it was like a weird, the format of the screen was fucking terrible for all types of games, basically. And it was kind of crazy to see a polygonal game running on a phone, you know? When you think about what phone games were at the time, it was Snake, and it was like, I don't know, did I have my T-Mobile Sidekick by that point? Because like I remember getting Akari Warriors. I remember buying a really terrible port of Akari Warriors for the Sidekick. It was like okay, considering it was running on the Sidekick. But like, you know, seeing Pandemonium, seeing Tony Hawk, seeing some of that early stuff running on an N-Gage, there was an aspect of it where you're like, this is nuts. But then you would play it and go, also, it feels like garbage. Also, this phone is shit. Also, the controls for controlling it as a game device feel bad. Also, it's weirdly unreliable. Also, I have to take the battery out to swap cartridges, which the QD, the updated, the new model of the N-Gage fixed some of that stuff. But the N-Gage was immediately just, it felt like a very desperate, Nokia felt very desperate to try to make the N-Gage a thing. And what I mean by that is it is the best supported hardware launch I have ever seen as a journalist. In 30 years of doing this, they sent out so many of those fucking things and so many copies of those games to us at GameSpot. They buried us in that stuff. More so than any handheld, any console, anything. Like, they were like, here. Do you got it what you need? Here. Like, just so much. They sent me like half of an N-Gage capture kit, which is really unfortunate because it would be really neat to have an N-Gage capture kit in this day and age. But it was, I never was able to get it working back in the day. I ended up, I believe, passing it off to Steve Lynn. He has some parts of that. I don't know if any headway was made on that thing, but they sent us so much of that stuff. And no, I guess they really believed in it, I guess. I assume so. I never really talked to anyone that was really at Nokia. You know, they had a PR firm that was handling that sort of stuff, and you know, they did their thing and they got it into everyone's hands, and we got it all in. And I remember, you know, like, as the reviews editor, all of that stuff ended up on my desk, and they sent it to each individual person got a package, which was very unusual. Normally stuff would come into me, like, you know, stuff would come into whoever the primary contact was, and then, you know, if it was a review copy of a game, it would usually end up with me or whatever. And it felt like they were making sure that everyone got that stuff. And then I feel like one by one, a lot of people came to me and said, "Do you want this stuff?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure. Put it with the rest." And so, you know, people are like, "Here's a fucking N-Gage with a dummy sim in it, and here's like 9 games." And so that's how I ended up with quite a few sealed N-Gage games, is because they sent us 9 copies of fucking Puzzle Bobble, and you know, you only need to open 1, and maybe you don't even need to open 1. And so I ended up with just a pile of N-Gage stuff, and that thing, you know, like, they were buying a lot of ads. They were trying to make it a thing, and I remember just getting it all in and going like, "There's no chance in hell that this thing is going to catch on in the way that they seem to want it to. There is just no way. These games are not good enough." Like, it's fascinating. But I took my SIM card out of my phone and I put it into an N-Gage, and I used the N-Gage as my primary phone for like a month or something, just to really try to live the life, right? And try to go like, well, what is this like? What would this be like if someone said, "I'm going to go get the game phone. I'm going to walk into a store and I'm going to buy an N-Gage. Now that's my phone now." Like, what would that life be like for those people? And I can tell you, it fucking sucked. That thing was a shit phone features wise compared to a lot of the other stuff that was out there at the time. It just felt like shit to use, to talk on. Everything top to bottom about the N-Gage felt like something you did not want to engage with. And then the QD came out and it was hilarious. I remember, like, they sent us a QD and I remember just going like, getting going, woo. And then we went, like, the first thing I did is take the fucking QD out of the box and go take a side talking picture with it to send off to sidetalking.com. That was the extent of our N-Gage QD coverage at GameSpot, was I took that picture and fucking sent it to, I guess, did Alex, I forget who, not Alex Navarro, different Alex. I forget if did Portland Alex run that site, or was there a different, anyway, the first thing I did was take that out of the box, walk into Tim Tracy's office, and take a picture of me looking confused, trying to side talk into an N-Gage QD, sent that thing off, and then put that thing back in a box and went like, "Cool, man, whatever. That's it. We're done." Because the thing was fucking done by then. And a new hardware model was not going to change that. And the user interest at that point, by the time the QD came out, user interest in the N-Gage was just 0. It launched at like a 5 and then was down to 0, right? It was just, no one really cared. It was not something that we felt we needed to spend our time editorially covering. It just felt like, this thing, we've said everything we need to say about the N-Gage. Like, releasing 5 new games is not going to change that. And so we moved on. There were a lot of other games coming out. We just had other stuff to do, not an infinite number of people devoted to covering every single N-Gage release. So, we moved on. The Gizmondo was a similarly interesting situation insofar as that the Gizmondo felt like a scam out of the gate, but also they hired a good PR firm in the US that, had connections at every publication. And it was a similar situation where anyone, and I mean anyone, who wanted a Gizmondo got one. Like, they had a party in San Francisco and invited everyone. And invited every single person on staff, even the people who were not in editorial, were leaving that party with a Gizmondo and one copy of every game they had. And it was a similar situation where one by one people came into my office like, hey, I was at that party and I got all this bullshit. You have an office with the door that closes. Do you want this bullshit? And me being an idiot, like, yeah. And so that's why I have sealed copies of Gizmondo games and why I have like fucking 7 Gizmondos in my garage right now. But they were trying to get that into the hands of everyone. And the Gizmondo was fascinating because it didn't fucking work half the time. Like, you would turn the device on and it wouldn't turn on, it wouldn't turn on properly, or you would try to launch the game and it would shut down, or you're like, did I need to put the game in before I turn it on and do that? And like, that didn't work either. It's like, is it broken? What the fuck is, like, it was such an unreliable device. It was remarkable how messed up the Gizmondo was. But they tried, that was a situation where you're just like, yeah, this thing is, this thing's dead. Like, what do you, months before it came out, you're seeing the games running on it, you're looking at it, you're feeling it, you're like, this feels like trash. It is trash. Like, what, you want to put a SIM card in this thing so people can use GPS? Like, what? So they had like Gizmondo Navigator as a piece of software that you could put in there. And, meanwhile, Sony had the PSP coming out and all this other stuff. And you're like, this thing is a piece of absolute trash. And all of these games are bad. I can't think of a single Gizmondo game that was actually good and worth playing because it was really hard to even get them to boot half the time. And sometimes it'd be like, oh, is it not booting because it doesn't have a live SIM card in it? Do I need to put a SIM card? I think in that case, I want to say they gave us live SIM cards to go with those Gizmondos that lasted for a year, 90 days, whatever it was. And the whole thing just felt like a scam, even separate from the Ferrari crash, the Dietrich stuff, whatever, organized crime, blah, 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 blah. You didn't really hear too much about that end of it until all of that shit happened. And then all of the stories came out, But the Gizmondo is significantly worse than the N-Gage. Like I said, because I feel like half the devices I got my hands on, I would not be able to get a game to load on it, which seems like a problem. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. But yeah, I don't know. That thing, scary device. It felt so bad in the hand. So unbelievably bad in the hand. Let's see here. In terms of other emails, let's see if we can find something here. Ben from the UK writes in, we were talking about music and how people discover music in early October. And Ben from the UK wrote in and said, I had a song go viral on TikTok. I recently enjoyed your chat about how most people almost unconsciously discover music through algorithms. I'm in a band that had a song go viral on TikTok with hundreds of thousands of videos made with the sound. While it opened doors with record companies and the like, I feel like when it comes to creating long-term fans, TikTok and algorithmic-based music discovery is a dud. Our viral song was added to many a teen playlist, but those hundreds of thousands of plays it's still amassing very rarely leak over to our other tracks. We have more monthly listeners than we do plays on any other track. In other words, they don't care about our other songs. One hit wonder element aside, I feel like this is how a lot of young people consume music now. The single is king, whilst the album is dead. One of the sadder side effects being a less of a reason to follow an artist closely. Another weird part of TikTok that you may not know about is that as the artist, we're paid per video made rather than based on streams. Wow. All in all, as someone who's trying to make music, I very much think music streaming sucks, and it's incredibly hard to make anything unless you're Harry Styles. Sorry for the long email, but I guess my question is, how would you fix the current state of the music industry? Yeah. I don't know. I don't know how you fix the music industry. I mean, I think you do away with a lot of it, right? Like you need to reshape. You probably need to take all of the kind of old school record companies and labels and all of that other stuff and fucking burn them to the ground, because they are desperately trying to glom onto whatever they can to try to remain alive in a world that just doesn't need that anymore. It's not to say that you don't need record labels. It's not to say that you couldn't benefit from having people behind the scenes working in a promotions capacity or some kind of management role when it comes to getting songs out there. But, you know, the idea of like Warner Brothers records, you know, or you know, whatever, like all these Sony records, like all these record labels, all that other stuff, like those are big bloated organizations that are trying to save themselves. And that doesn't seem like it lines up with the goals of an artist that is just trying to get their music out there and hopefully trying to make a living with their music. So I think that's part of it. Of course, like live music and stuff matters. Merchandise matters. And so on and so forth. But I just don't know. The idea that you're paid off TikTok number of videos made as opposed to videos consumed seems really messed up to me, because that's like, you might have one video that has millions of listens, millions of views on it that all have your song in it, but that only counts like one video, the same as like, oh, this one video that has 8 views or whatever. Maybe that all balances out in the end. I doubt it. Sounds like it doesn't. But you know, you see a lot of musicians on TikTok that are like lamenting this fact to a certain degree, where they're like, man, it was fucking bad enough that I've got to try to like write good music and try to like put out good music that I feel good about. But like now I have to maintain a big social media presence. And now suddenly I am a huge part of the marketing of my own music, even though I'm on a label, and like all of that sort of stuff that a musician is suddenly like, now I've got to try to go viral. Now I've got to try to come up with a fun dance to do to my song. Now I've got to try to do the, you know, like do all of this other stuff. Posting on now you're posting on this app and getting $0 from it, but hopefully it all works out in the end. Like, no, it doesn't. Clearly it doesn't. And so that stuff's terrible. That stuff is absolutely awful. And so how do you get musicians out of that and get them refocused on just making music and not getting lost in the shuffle, where music has become so ubiquitous? There's so much of it. So many people are making music. It has become The tools to make music has become so democratized. The tools to distribute music on these streaming platforms have also become so democratized that anyone can do it. Not to say the music's going to be good, but in some cases, the better marketing is going to outshine the quality material, right? Like that's still in a world where the investment on the user's end is like 3 minutes of time, 3 to 5 minutes of time, maybe even less if they skip the song, right? That creates opportunities for people making garbage. It's something that video games can't get away with anymore, right? You can't market your way out of a bad game the way you used to. Look at something like the Avengers, which is, bad game is extreme, like the Avengers. It's not a good game, but I don't mean to say like it's absolute trash or anything, but like that's a game that they spent a ton of money on, put a ton of money into making all this other stuff, and they fucked up. And it came out, and they kept trying to fix it. They're still out there patching something on it, I'm sure, and never quite got there. Or Guardians of the Galaxy, probably another pretty good example on that front of just like you can't market your way out of a bad game the way you used to be able to. Now, games in known franchises, games that have additional benefits, like, oh, it's the new Pokemon game, they're going to be largely immune to this stuff because they've got enough built-in goodwill over the years that they can get away with it. But over time, if they keep fucking people over, they will shed fans. Maybe not enough for them to notice, but people will grow out of Pokemon a lot faster if the games are garbage. If the games are fantastic and it's holding their attention, then they'll be more than happy to get the next one, all this other stuff. But yeah, for a lot of those games, you can't get away with like putting out a bad game and then just marketing it all to hell, and convincing people that it's good. Music, again, if you're getting paid by the listen, all you got to do is trick people into listening, and the quality of the material matters for longevity and all the other stuff you'd like to think, but there are probably a lot of ways that like it's why you see, like, you go look at Spotify or Apple, any of the streaming services, and you find all these like knockoffs and, all the bullshit. Like, those are the dregs of these services. Like, oh, we put up a bunch of covers, a bunch of really terrible covers of these rap songs. Or like, hey, De La Soul's music is not on streaming, so we put out an album that is all De La Soul covers performed by people who can't fucking rap. But there's going to be some percentage of people that just search for a song name or search for De La Soul, and we come up in the algorithm just high enough to skim some listens, and that's enough money for us to do that over and over again and to form a whole business around making these fucking terrible covers. It's probably a significant part of why the KLF decided suddenly, like, we're going to put our music back on streaming services. Like, yep. Because there's a bunch of fucking low budget, terrible covers of their songs showing up on those services. And also the singer of those songs originally went around performing and claiming that she was the KLF. And I'm sure they don't like that. And so this helps them reinforce their copyrights for all this other stuff. For all of the, it's been 23 years and yes, we're going to, put the horn on your head and we're going to, like, also there's probably an aspect there of just like, hey, we need to shut these other fuckers down. Even if it's not making them a lot of money, which I'm sure it's not, making them a ton of money reissuing those albums. They sure did just put out all the popular stuff and then disappear again, didn't they? Actually, I guess the pyramid thing is happening. Right? Was it this weekend? Did it just happen? They're building a pyramid out of people's remains. And they're finally getting together to do that very soon. It may have happened this weekend or maybe next weekend. Anyway, point being, the music industry is a fucking cesspool. It's a disaster. And in the ways it's changed, it's in some ways it's leveled the playing field for everyone. And so you have these situations where someone in a bedroom with no label can break through in a way that they couldn't before. But also, what does breaking through even mean anymore? You know, what are you actually getting? What is the real money make? It used to be touring, right? It used to be like, oh, well, yeah, I mean, okay, yes, we got into a fucking terrible record deal, and we're not going to recoup, and our advance is, you know, was barely minimum wage by the time we were done recording the album and getting all this stuff done and making appearances and doing all this other shit. But at least we get to go out on tour, and we're touring off the back of that album, and at least we keep our tour money, unless you signed a really, really bad record deal. And then the label gets some of that too. And then the venue wants some of your merch money. And the label may want some of your merch money, depending on how bad of a deal you signed. And all that sort of stuff. So even, of course, then the pandemic fucked everything up too. So I don't know. I think the music industry is in a lot of trouble. I think there's still a lot of great, fun music coming out. And I try to, I don't know. I try to buy stuff off Bandcamp when I can. When it's like smaller artists that I find and enjoy, I try to like actually buy a thing instead of just streaming it when I can. But it's not like, you know, I'm getting that CD or I'm buying those flax, really. I'm trying to get them flax, baby. But if I end up with a CD or something like that, it's going on a shelf. It's going in the garage. It's going, you know, it's going somewhere else. It's not like, yes, let me put the CD in my car. I got the CD holder up in my visor. What's this? What do we got here? Van Halen 2. Let's do it. What's this here? CNC Music Factory. What else we got here? Lil Wheezy. Wheezy F Babies here. Yes. Let's put that in. A million indeed. Yeah, it's so I don't know. I think it's just kind of fucked up, and I don't really know what you do to fix it. What's the revenue stream? Do you just like, does the expectation get altered and you're just like, well, music is not a way to actually make money anymore, and you should still do it because you have a passion in your soul and all this other stuff, but you're not gonna make a living. Like, is that just gonna be? That'd be sad. That'd lead to a lot less music in the world, I think. You know, if any, we need to find ways, and this goes beyond music, and not to get like super fucking like both super philosophical and also totally empty with you, but like, we need to find a way for artists to earn a living making art, because the world tends to benefit when that art exists. And I think that's something that travels across mediums. And yeah, you can have models of direct support like patreon.com. You could go to patreon.com/Jeff Gerstmann and support this program and get access to more programs like Game Boys to Men. You know, hot shit like that. And that works for some, you know, like that works for some artists. Bandcamp and selling their stuff independently, of course, can also be a way to do that sort of stuff. But, you know, again, these things then rely on artists to spend time marketing themselves and trying to get out there and raise above the noise and all of this other stuff. And how do you, you know, I don't know how you do all that. But I think it applies, you know, you see, you know, Netflix pulling out of, you know, like being a lot less spendy, right? They're like, they seem like they have felt the sting of a downturn, and they're like, oh, well, we're not funding shit anymore. Like, we're done with all of these shows. All this shit that no one was watching, the people said, like, this is great. We canceled after 2 seasons. Yeah, we're just not even going to make it at all anymore. And, you know, so what happens to movies? What happens to television? What happens to music? And you know, independent games too, you know, obviously, you know, it's, you know, how do you get that stuff funded? How do you get that stuff out there for the betterment of the culture? Not that, I mean, you know, Has there ever been a Netflix show that benefited the culture? I don't know. Castlevania. Sure. No, the how do you do that? How do you make that happen? Yeah, how do you create a world where the OA makes enough money to continue being made so that story gets told in its entirety? I have seen enough of the OA to know that I don't need there to be more of the OA made, but my wife enjoyed it. And yeah, how do you fund stuff like that? How do you make stuff like that happen in a way that that those stories can be told? Yeah, it's a good point. Is there a monoculture anymore? No. We had a brief fake monoculture. Well, not quite a monoculture, but like everyone gathered together a little bit over these last few years, and everyone was talking online a lot more because everyone was trapped in their houses and all that sort of stuff. And so you would have little pockets of people talking all the time, and then more and more people had to go back to work and started spending time with different people, and it all kind of broke apart again. Yeah, Tiger King, MC M.C. on the Discord points out, I also did not watch Tiger King because I don't care. But like everyone was talking about Tiger King and that sort of stuff. And now it's Andor, which as I understand it, Andor sounds like it's really good. I am highly considering watching Andor at some point because I've heard enough good things about it. And the idea that it exists, in a Rogue One-esque pocket, Rogue One being like the last Star Wars thing I saw, and also enjoyed quite a bit. Yeah, I don't know. I'm thinking about watching it. It sounds like it's great. And not just like, here's another Star Wars thing for you, you Star Wars asshole. So it sounds like it's better. It's better than just that. So that's probably my bar at this point. But yeah, I don't know. We could talk for another hour about how, the closest thing we do have to a monoculture probably is like Marvel movies and TV and that universe and the problem with that. But I think you can guess what I would have to say about that shit. So I'll save you from that. It's yeah. I just don't care. Ian in Manchester writes in and says, finally, the independent platform takes the reins off, in turn enabling Goldie-looking chain content that I love, and those who don't know truly need. And then he asks about a bunch of questions about the GLC. He's in Manchester, so much closer to where the GLC is found. What are your favorite standout tracks? What are your thoughts on the post-Maggot era? How the fuck did those Newport boys get across to you in California? Yeah, I got way into the Goldie looking chain in probably like 03, 04, something like that. I forget. Whenever they put out the Greatest Hits album, that I believe was called Straight Outta Newport over here, or vice versa. I forget what the actual situation was with that, but they're, it's kind of like their first big record, but it was really compiling a lot of their CDR, like the shit that they were just independently distributing onto one album. GameSpot was in the same location as mp3.com at the time, and mp3.com was covering music, and Tim Tracy, who was doing video for GameSpot, also occasionally did some video work for mp3.com. And he came to me and said, you need to check this shit out, because he had gotten his hands on like the video for Guns Don't Kill People, Rappers Do, which is a great song. And so he had gotten the video for that, and he had to process it so that it could go up on mp3.com or whatever it was. And so they were getting ready to come to New York for the first time, and they played some shows in the US around that time to support the release of the album in the States. No one cared. No one noticed. and that was that. But that video was fucking great, and I was like, man, yeah, fuck yeah, well, this is, yeah, all right, let's get our hands on this album. So we got our hands on that album. Like, yeah, this is, yeah, all right, okay, yes, I am someone who also wants to wear tracksuits and sit around and do nothing. This is great. And so, yeah, me and my roommate Chris, he got into it also, and we just, I don't know, I was already going down the road of buying tracksuits, and I feel like that really pushed it all along. I feel like a lot of the look of when Chris and I were doing Midnight Brown, which is a band we did, which is not really a rap thing, but I guess kind of is. We just fucking, I don't know, we found ourselves just owning a ton of tracksuits and just looking like fucking dirtbags. This led to me tracking down the full season, full run of episodes, top to bottom, of Celebrity Big Brother, the season that Maggot from GLC was on it. And I watched all of that and all of the like Big Brother's Big Breakfast, which was the first time I ever saw Russell Brand do anything before he came to the US. And yeah, I don't know. They put out albums after that, and I feel like they never really recaptured the magic of like the first, like it was like what? It was like Straight Outta Newport and Safe as Fuck were like the two like back-to-backs. Like those were the two. That was like the middle period there where they were on a label. Then they got dropped and released a ton of stuff independently, and they're still theoretically doing something to this day. But I think the newer stuff is a lot, like they started chasing parody novelty success with songs like Dubstep Christmas or The Fresh Prince of Cambran. Is that how you pronounce that? I don't know. Like there's just a handful of songs in the later days that just feel like they are like, this is something that might be a bit, and sure enough, like they got YouTube views off of that stuff, but like, I don't know. They also put out a bunch of albums before that seemed like they were just passed around on CDRs, and so you had to track those down online, and I got my hands on most of that stuff, and it's fucking like that early stuff is really terrible from a like rap flow perspective, but really engaging from a comedy, like this shit is fucking dumb and I love it type of perspective. Like they honed it up to a point by the time Guns Don't Kill People Rappers Do was coming out, but everything before that is like has a real charm to it of just like, this is fucking ridiculous, and the samples are fun and all this other stuff. And then when they went independent and still started putting out stuff, like, you know, they didn't necessarily have the budget for a lot of those samples, and so you saw less of that and a lot more you know, a lot more of kind of their own homegrown beats from the sounds of things. And they went on to do I don't know, I think they still play shows here and there, it seems like. Yeah, I don't know. They put out a lot of fun shit. I think that they rap well for what they do, and yeah, man, I love Goldie Looking Chain. They're fantastic. What do I think of the Streets? Streets, he's fine. That dude's fine. Mike Skinner, is that his name? Original Pirate Material is a really great album. And then there was another album right around that same run there in the middle that was, I think, quite good, but I don't remember. I'm not as super deep into it. You know, it's no So Solid Crew, 21 Seconds. I mean, you know, that's a banger right there. You know, what are you gonna do? I bought that single on CD on a whim when I was in London. I just went into a record store. I went into like a Tower Records in fucking like Piccadilly. I forget where the fuck I was, but I ended up in a Tower Records in London and just looking around for stuff to buy. And I was just like, what's good here? I was like, well, are there some Shampoo albums I don't have yet? We need to go find those. But I already had them all. And the true rare Shampoo stuff only came out in Japan. Little mini CD single also. Anyway. And I was just looking at like, what are the hot singles right now? And like at the time, 21 Seconds by So Solid Crew was like the number 1 or number 2 thing there. So I'm like, I'm all right. I'll get whatever this is. And so that's the only song by them I know. And I think it's all right. It's not great. 21 Ounces by the Goldie Link Chain is a better song, I will say. I also bought the first Nerd album there. The first NERD album came out in the UK like way before it came out in the US, and it is totally different, but also the same. They put that album out in the UK, and all the beats were like synth beats and all just kind of very, like just produced. And I got it and I was like, this album's fucking insane. This is the best. It was the album that had Lap Dance on it and all that other stuff. And it was all just like, it was the Neptunes producing it. So it was just like, it sounded like Neptunes beats, a little bit more poppy than some of the rap stuff they had done, but like it was them producing it. And then when that album came out in the US, they had replaced all of that production with live instrumentation. I think it was like Chad learned how to play some instruments, but also the guys that formed the band Chester French, because more podcasts need to be talking about Chester fucking French in this day and age. I think they played on it. Anyway, they replaced all of that shit with totally new instrumentation, live instruments, and it had such a different feel. Obviously. And it's fucking, like, I think both versions of that album are fucking incredible. And I remember getting that. I remember buying that in London and going back to the house that we had rented because we were there for ECTS. We were covering a trade show. This was 2001, I think. I only went to London twice, and I think it was I think this was the time I went. It was like literally less than 2 weeks after 9/11. Because I had to go. No, this would have been before. This would have been right before. So the run I was on that year was I went to Tokyo for TGS. No, I went to Tokyo for an arcade show in the summer. Then went to ECTS in London. So I was like there for like a week because I had a friend over there. She was there as an exchange student. And I was like, well, I'll just hang out in London for a few extra days. Why not? And we went and saw a stand-up comedy show in London. Super fucking weird. Anyway, and then I got home, 9/11 happened, and then I went to TGS. I may have the order. I'd have to look up the events of like when that stuff, when each, I may have the order slightly wrong, but yeah. So I was in London right around that time. And I remember being in London and thinking, I was in London before 9/11 happened. I was in London walking around thinking like, man, why are there no garbage cans in any of these airports? Why are there no garbage cans in the airport? And someone said, it's because people put fucking bombs in them. And you're like, what? What? And then when I went to leave London, when I got back, the questions they asked me were very specific. They were asking like, hey, do you have a clock radio with you? Did you get it repaired while you were gone? Like they were asking questions like, did you have any kind of electronics that you had repaired while you were here that people could have put bombs inside? Was basically the question they were asking. And it was fucking crazy because you're like, I can't believe, like, what the fuck is going on in London that this is like, it was this weird thing about like, what is happening in the rest of the world? Like, man, this is really crazy. And then I got back and 9/11 happened. I was like, oh, yeah, I guess, yeah, okay, I get it. And it, to me, it felt like this weird thing about like, oh, I guess like now America is part of all of this as well. We've been so shielded from those types of concepts and stuff like that. And now it's like, oh, okay, well now this is just, all right. I guess that's what the world is. And it was a weird, it was weird. Weird situation, I guess. I don't, that's a flip way to put it, but there you have it. And yeah. Let's see here if we have any more solid emails here before we go. We'll go back to some more recent ones from this morning. Or no, this one's from yesterday. Brian writes in and says, I present the following for your consideration. No matter what your opinion is on Donkey Kong Country as a game, the reveal in the game's instruction manual that Cranky Kong is the original Donkey Kong from the 80s remains, to this day, the most creative or interesting decision Nintendo has made with one of their major mascot characters. I remember this detail being a big deal at the time, and I cannot think of a single other Nintendo character that has had this kind of change in their character role and design. While everyone else remains forever young and the same, the OG Donkey Kong grew old and bitter along with the rest of us. Why did Nintendo never do this with other characters? Was it just Rare getting away with things? Why did Jumpman never make his return as Mario's similarly jaded and angry grandfather? That'd be pretty good. Yeah, it's crazy. I think that's awesome. I don't like Donkey Kong Country. I never have. It's a scam. But I respect the hell out of the idea that Cranky Kong is actually the original Donkey Kong. But did they ever so this is because I don't follow the franchise that closely, because as I said, those video games are scams. They're fooling you. With their pre-rendered silicon graphics. Is the Donkey Kong in Donkey Kong Country intended to be a grown-up Donkey Kong Jr. then? Like, did they ever address that fully? I think that's the thing I'm actually curious about. Like, yes, that is supposed to be Donkey Kong Jr. all grown up. Okay. So I think that's pretty awesome. You know, like forget about the rest of the stuff. Like, I don't know, Diddy Kong. Is Diddy okay? Here's my question. Now that we've been talking about London and the United Kingdom here for a little bit, what is it with the term Diddy? D-I-D-D-Y? How is that phrase? Is that something that is used in the United Kingdom to mean a specific something? Because again, yes, I will bring up the Diddy donuts when I went to London on that trip. I went to a Burger King where they had the Texican Whopper, which was a Whopper that had basically like a Jack in the Box taco stuffed in the middle of it. It was quite good. And it was a little spicy. It was good. But they also were selling Simpsons branded donuts that were called Diddy Donuts. And there were these shitty little things. They were absolute shit donuts. It's a way to say titty? Really? That can't be. D-I-D-D-Y. Like Sean Combs. Is there something? Okay. Diddy means stupid in Scotland? It means little or tiny? Diddies are titties. Shitty Diddy. It just means small. Okay. Okay. So that makes sense that Diddy would, because Diddy Donuts, they are small, they are shitty donuts, and that makes sense that Diddy Kong would be small. Because he is. All right. I guess I'm assuming Sean Combs did not know that when he decided to change his name to Diddy. Maybe he would have gone a different route with it. I don't think you want to be known as small, per se. You know, but hey. Yeah, but yes, the Donkey Kong Country lore, if nothing else, is tremendous, and I do appreciate all of the Kong like as much as I don't care about Diddy Kong because fuck him. Funky Kong, I think, is eternal. And the idea of funky mode is also great. I just wish those games were better. At least they are rendered in real time. Like the modern ones are at least, rendered with real-time graphics and look nice and all of that sort of stuff. I still don't think the platforming feels good because they are attempting to make it feel a little bit like that garbage-ass SNES trilogy. Man, those games. Ugh. Gross. Gross video games, the Donkey Kong Country games. Donkey Kong 64, hey, they just went too far. They got too close to the sun with Donkey Kong 64, They had made too many of those. And their answer was, what if we inserted even more things you could collect? What if we did that? What if we made the cartridge yellow? What if we did this? Yeah. Ugh. Let's see here. Maybe we take like one more. Ryan from Phoenix writes in and says, how wild was old E3? Over the years, I've heard you and associates hint at cigar chomping execs and wild parties in back rooms or the like. I'm not asking you to incriminate anyone or yourself, but what sort of trash degeneracy took hold? It's not I was not invited to any, crazy parties with untoward things happening. So anything I'm telling you is going to be at least secondhand, or rumored or heavily rumored. But I guess the thing I'll say is that there was a lot of alcohol served at all of these parties. There still are, when those things happen, if they happen again. It was a bunch of nerds and business people, groups of which are traditionally very bad at holding their alcohol. And so it was just a lot of people getting super fucked up and being a real mess. And so you would see people throwing up, you would see people hooking up, you would see stuff like that. There would be the rumors, of course. Like the big one was always the IDOS party, which I've talked about before, where Third Eye Blind played and they had a Lara Croft ice sculpture. And that was the party where it was heavily rumored that there was some upstairs area and they had prostitutes up there. Oh man. Like that was the talk, but I have still to this day not heard from anyone who said, "Oh yeah, I was there." And said anything one way or the other about what was going on in the VIP area of said party. So I don't really know, but yes, that is also the party where the fucking lead singer of Third Eye Blind said that he wanted to fuck Lara Croft I believe in the middle of Semi-Charmed Life. It's pathetic. Yes, I did post my receipt from Burger King probably with the Diddy Donuts on it. Yeah, it was just, I think it was, the video game industry was not, none of these companies were public companies yet, and they didn't answer to shareholders, and so they weren't as buttoned up as they are now. Not that necessarily stopped. Like, I feel like that drove a lot of the fucking darkness to be even darker and even more oppressive to women. I don't know. When I got into this business, it was, and this is something that's like, I think still, it's less true than it was. But the thing we always used to say and you always joke about is like, it's a weird joke, I guess, but like the video game industry, covering video games, working in video games, going to these events, all this other stuff, it really inspires you to achieve a certain level of functional alcoholism. And there's a lot of conversation now about like, people not wanting to go out after work for drinks and stuff like that. That's not just video games. I mean, across like a lot of businesses, people going like, no, I don't want to go hang out with my boss after work. Like, fuck that. And, older people being like, well, that's how we build camaraderie and that's how we do this. And we work late hours to build that kind of team spirit and all this other shit, which is all fucking horse shit and all fucking garbage. And no one should have to do any of that stuff to excel at a job. No one. It's absolute garbage. But there was a certain aspect of it. There was a certain expectation. There was a period of time there, I'm going to say in the mid 2000s, where a lot of people working on GameSpot were hanging out a lot, like going on vacation together and, like, hey, let's all go to Vegas and, like go do this. And I since I didn't live in San Francisco, it was very difficult for me to be involved with any of that stuff. I was jealous at a certain point of just like, oh man, it seems like fun going out and hanging out at all these bars every night and just like, yeah, let's go out and all this sort of stuff. But like, I just, I had to drive 40 miles at the end of the day. So I just never really hung out like that. And I occasionally I would, like when there'd be like, oh, I'm with somebody else and they're going to drive or, like whatever. Maybe I'll crash somewhere. Like that happened a couple of times, but generally I just wasn't able to do that because I always felt like, well, I got to fucking get home. And I can't hang out and drink all night and then drive 40 miles. That certainly will not happen. But yeah, I don't know. Because also at that point, maybe they would not have wanted to. I don't know. Like at that point, I was not everyone's boss, but I had had seniority over a lot of people, and maybe I would have been the last fucking person they would have wanted to see. I don't really know. So yeah, I don't know. I don't, the wild parties, all that sort of stuff. Like you hear stories, you hear like little hints, but the thing I'll say is that it was just, everyone was a lot more casual about everything, about their event and what time it started and this and that. And like, oh yeah, we got an open bar here, whatever, you just come by whenever. We got it for 3 days straight. So just, hey, if you want to come by here every night, like Acclaim had at CES, we talked about this on Game Boys to Men. This last episode is about Mortal Kombat, and Acclaim was publishing that. Acclaim had a suite at the Desert Inn, which is a hotel in Vegas that I don't think exists anymore. And there was one night that was designated, this is the night of the Acclaim party. And you would have a lot of people there. But they had that suite for the entire time. And you could just go, like at night, you just go over there and like, there'd be people there drinking, doing whatever. It'd be like fewer people than during the official like party night, but they still had that Mortal Kombat machine. And so we would go there every fucking night to play Mortal Kombat. And I don't think I had a drink of alcohol at those Acclaim parties. I was underage. And so I think I was just scared to try to get served because I didn't want to get ID'd and then get kicked out because I wanted to play Mortal Kombat. More than I wanted to experience alcohol at age 16. And so, but it was a lot of stuff like that of just like, hey, everywhere you go, here's another open bar. Everywhere you go, here's another bartender serving anybody. Like it was just a lot of stuff like that. And I think it's still sort of like that. But also I think everyone's got, everyone's got their itineraries down a lot more and a lot of, and the, like, oh, we've got influencers coming. So we've got this, we've got this open bar set up for this also, like there's obviously like different layers to that now too. And that's all kind of different. I remember I went to the Mortal Kombat, the reveal event for the most recent Mortal Kombat. They had that in LA. And they gave out drink tickets So instead of an open bar, it was like, here's, they were coins that had the fucking Mortal Kombat logo on them. And you know, you could exchange those for drinks. And I thought, these coins with the MK logo on them are sure a lot cooler than getting drinks at this bar at 1 p.m. So so I just hung on to them because that was way cooler. And yeah, so, but yeah, I don't know, there's still an aspect of this business that is, you know, that is events, and it is throwing an event, and it is hey, we're putting on this event, come out to our event. It is catered, it is fully catered, and all of that sort of stuff. And you know, that usually means that it's got a bar of some kind, and you know, oftentimes that is an open bar. I just, you know, the thing with the way we kind of handled things at GameSpot, or at least the way we tried to think about it, I don't know that everyone necessarily shared this this feeling or this mentality. The last position I ever wanted to be in was where it felt like someone who was putting out a game had done me a favor. The last position I wanted to be in is in a position where I felt like I owed a favor to someone who worked at a game company. Because I would not want to have the conversation even of them trying to cash it in and hey buddy, hell yeah. Hey, sure had a lot of fun at this party. Anyway, about the coverage for this game, what do you think about, you know, like, I never wanted to end up in any situation where that conversation would even come up. And it never did. I worked with people who crashed jet skis at events. And like, you know, because Atari had an event in Hawaii or something, and people went out there and they're like, hey, today we're going to go out on jet skis. And then the guy that we sent out on that trip, or one of the people, because I think we sent multiple people, crashed a fucking jet ski on Atari's dime. And they were rentals, and I'm sure everyone's got insurance and whatever. But you never want to end up in that situation. And so it's like the only right answer there is to be like, oh, have fun on your jet ski thing. I'm going to hang out. I'll catch up with you later tonight or something, you know, and all of that sort of stuff. And it's why we kept reviews and previews separate, because the preview people would go to those events, and me, the review people, I would sit at the office and not go anywhere, and be like lightly jealous of some of these crazy stories. But like, that's, you know, that's also probably why I didn't see, if anything, if there were any truly wild parties, I didn't get invited to a lot of stuff because I ran the reviews team. And so it was my job to stay out of that shit. It was my job for like, okay, when the games show up, give them to me and I will fucking tell the world. And then when the company gets pissed, we'll figure it out. And all that sort of stuff. It was just kind of how we tried to run things. And it worked. I feel like it worked pretty well, but you need to have so many people on staff to pull that off, right? And so I don't think anyone has the staff to truly do that anymore. Everyone has to kind of do a little bit of everything in this day and age. And so the idea of like having these totally separate teams for previews and reviews, it just doesn't, I don't think that truly works anymore. Because no one can afford it. And yeah, but that's, you know, but that was always how I tried to treat that stuff is like, I don't, you know, like, you know, you're going to be cordial. It's not going to be like standing there going like, I hope you assholes are having fun. I'm not, because I'm on the level. I'm not on the take like you fuckos. You know, it's not some big fucking standoffish thing, or at least it shouldn't be. But you know, there was stuff like I went to Vegas for an EA event. And they had a Need for Speed game coming out, of course. And this was the year that they were showing Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning before it came out. So whatever game, I think maybe Syndicate may have been there also. Which means it was the trip where I fell in love with dubstep. And they took everybody out on some racetrack for the day. And so like, yeah, we're going to get in fast cars and do fucking pace car laps and all this other cool shit. And I'm like, that sounds like super fun. I'll hang out here. But also then, you know, when Namco had their event back in the day, I think this was kind of a learned thing about like, I'm gonna maybe not do as much of that sort of event type stuff because sometimes it just doesn't feel comfortable. But, you know, I still have the tape. In fact, I have my VCR here hooked up, but like, you know, when Namco had their event where they let people fly jets over Las Vegas, I flew jets over Las Vegas. It was fucking cool as shit. I don't think much of that era of Ace Combat, but that event was cool as shit. So yeah, I don't know. I played laser tag in Phoenix and then saw Oni running on a PlayStation 2. Or, you know, I went to Las Vegas and drove around in the desert on ATVs and Jeeps with a bunch of fake cocaine because Smuggler's Run was coming out. It was fun. You know, like the industry isn't that anymore either. Like the fun events have gone away. And that's probably for the best in the long run. I think that there's still some stuff that they'll do for like, if they're trying to do big time influencer stuff. But generally, a lot of those people are now on an even crazier schedule where like there was, I saw pictures of it. I wasn't there, but it was for one of the WWE games. And they were showing off gameplay for the first time. And they were showing it to influencers, and I think some press was there. And they had all these stations set up. The Call of Duty event, the recent Call of Duty event was like this too, where you just see this sea of stations, and they all have webcams hooked up to them. Because the people that are sitting down to record the video need their face cam footage in it as well, so that they can record their reactions and them going like, oh, that body slam, oh shit, like, you know. And they had some wrestlers there going around to sit at the stations for a little while to record those sorts of things and do that sort of stuff. And I don't know, man. I just, that's stuff that, you know, because I would rather go and record the footage and then come back and talk over it separately in that specific case. I don't need to fucking comp a shot and be like, okay, I'm gonna be over here in the corner. Oh, you already got it all set up and I can just walk down. And, you know, like a lot of events that have capture stations set up don't have cameras, and they'll give you a USB stick at the start of the event. Like, here you go. And you can just walk up, plug it into the front of the fucking Elgato thing that they got set up, start your capture with all their gear, and then come out of the event with your footage and you're good to go. I've had that go wrong so many times because their gear was not configured properly, or all those other stuff that I end up bringing my own shit half the time anyway, in case it doesn't work right, or in case I like record a little bit and go like, oh fuck. So like that Mortal Kombat event, in fact, I went to that event and came back with footage, but the footage was all fucked because the way they had it set up was they had headsets with mics on them. And so they didn't do face cams, but they had audio. And so all the footage I took had audio from a microphone that I didn't even realize that it was on while I was wearing it. And so I'm mostly playing by myself, but then Xavier Woods, Austin Creed came up. He was there. And he comes up and goes, hey man, I was like, so like I played a couple of rounds with him, and then we're just talking, shooting the shit. And I realized like, I fucking can't use any of this. Like, I can't use any of this audio because it's like, it's us having like, not like a fucking super serious conversation, but it's like, here's this fucking personal conversation. Like, hey man, what's your schedule? Oh, you doing this? You know, like whatever, just catching up. Because I hadn't seen him in a long time. And I was like, well, fuck, man. I think you go back and watch those videos. They're out there. I tried to like salvage. I tried to filter the audio 5 different ways, like running it through fucking Isotope RX and all this other stuff, trying to salvage some of it. I don't remember if I ended up just like muting all the audio and just saying fuck it, or what ended up happening with it. But yeah. So yeah, you end up in some of those situations where it's like, it's built for like someone recording like a different type of video than you are or whatever. But like the face cam thing always felt like that's not, because like I just don't trust their gear half the time, you know. I just want to come out with clean game footage, and then I can figure out what to do with it later. I don't need to record my in the moment, right? I can fake that later. But that's weird. So like that Call of Duty event that they just had when they did their multiplayer reveal, and they've been doing this for a while now. They had all those kiosks set up. Everyone was running their own Twitch stream from the event, or wherever they stream to, fucking Facebook gaming, whatever. And so they just had all these streamers running streams out of the event. And so it's all these generic shots with the face and like everyone just doing their thing. And I'm sure it's cool because like, for the person going to the event, they're like, oh, I get to broadcast this game super early and be at this event and shoot other streamers, and oh, what a fun, cool thing that is, or, whatever. We're all big timers, and all that sort of shit. But that just, I don't know, man. It's just that stuff feels so fucking manufactured and weird. And I don't know. I feel like if I found myself in that situation, then I guess I would run a stream, but it just to see what it's like. And maybe I would come away from going like, oh, that wasn't so bad. It was fine. Fucking whatever. But like something about the company providing every link in the chain except for you. And you just come in, you sit down, and they've got the full thing set up, and you just enter your fucking stream key and start streaming. And you're streaming from this time to this time. And, I'm sure some of those people got paid to be there. Who knows? Like, for some of them, I'm sure they didn't get paid because it was probably like better. It's like good exposure for them. Or I don't know. I have no idea how Activision runs that part of that event, right? And but it's just fucking strange. You know what I mean? Like, to me, that feels really fucking weird. And it feels really awkward. It seems like something that I would go like, I don't know that I want to be a part of this. But I've never done that before. And so I think presented with the opportunity, I would probably do it. If I walked into that situation, it was like, oh, shit. You're set up for everyone to stream? I guess. Okay. I guess. But yeah, that whole thing just feels really awkward to me. And a little manufactured, I guess. I don't know, which, it is. But I don't think that's necessarily a problem per se. It's not like they're buying those people's opinions or anything like that. And I'm sure maybe in some cases they are. Some people have lawyers that when the contracts get sent their way, they strike all the language about not saying anything negative about the games, and some people don't. And they don't tell you which, because they all say #sponsored, right? But whatever. I think those people are fine doing what they're doing. I think just for me, it's as long as everyone is disclosing what they're doing and everyone is not, ambiguous about what it is, and they're very upfront and clear about what this stuff is, then hey, fine. It's not a huge problem. But all of that stuff feels very awkward to me in a way that like doesn't feel conducive to like what I want to do when I cover games. But yeah, again, does the audience even know the difference? Do they care? That's the big question. I mean, that is the big driving factor for me over the last few years, and now being kind of out on my own and thinking this stuff through is like, as opportunities come my way, which ones should I do and which ones should I pass on? So far, it's been pretty obvious that when the Raid Shadow Legends people come calling, I don't return those emails. That's not the type of business I want to run here. I pasted the email that I got from them on the Discord a while back and was just like, look at this. Like, they're saying if I do this and 200 of you install it and play past the tutorial, they'll give me $3,000. It's like, all right, whatever, man. Fuck. Like, you should charge more than that. If you're out there streaming, you should be asking for more money, a lot more money to do that sort of stuff. But yeah, I don't know. And then I got something here. I got something today. I gotta go. I gotta end this show. I get a lot of emails from people from companies that are doing chairs or like Steam Deck, like their own kind of Steam Deck style devices. A lot of like, hey, would you like to do a sponsored video with our Steam Deck dock, with our dock, or our skin for this, or show this or show that. And I've gotten a couple of people like doing chair stuff, and so far I have not said yes to any of that sort of stuff. I don't know. But again, like I want to try to at least be open to some of these concepts, even if none of these things are things that feel like they're a natural fit for me. Like what's the right thing that does, like, would I be a featured personality on a sponsored competitive game stream? Maybe. Would I allow a game to sell merchandise that was affiliated with me? Like you could get a t-shirt with my face, whatever the design is, but like, could you do a thing where it's like, you get the Jeff Gerstmann show t-shirt pack in this game? Like maybe in the right situation for the right game. Like maybe that's something I would be interested in, I guess. A sponsored energy drink is like a fucking no-brainer. Yes, of course. Psychus, yes. If a company came along and said, we want to do a branded energy drink thing that you can work on, I would do that, if only to document the process and come out the other end and be able to tell you how real or not real it all is. I think that stuff would be fascinating. But who the fuck knows? It's such a weird business, and I don't even know. So, yeah. I don't know. I guess the thing I've learned over the last like months here of ranking energy drinks is that I don't hate every flavor of G Fuel. Like I think the G Fuel powder is disgusting, but the cans that they sell now, some of those, as you've seen on the rankings, are actually okay. But not that I rate in a world where they're doing deals with a PewDiePie, for example. I don't think we have quite as many viewers as a PewDiePie yet. Anyway, and I get a ton of emails about merchandise. A ton from companies that sell that do t-shirts and do stuff like that, and they're like, "Hey, I got one from a guy who was like, you can make your Patreon income in one day if you sell NFTs." It's like, delete. Nope. Thank you. No. And just silly shit like that. I don't know. It's an interesting world out there. There's a lot of weird opportunities, and not all of them seem good. But I do need to figure out a merchandise thing. I do have ideas for t-shirts and like a coffee mug and some other stuff like that I at least want to start with, and then I want to do some very dumb stuff down the line with that, and just make some some real silly shit. But I don't know which company is to do it with. I bought one of Danny O'Dwyer's no clip t-shirts just to check the quality, and I did like the quality on that shirt quite a bit. And I asked him who he went with. Maybe that'll end up being the right company. I don't know. I need to check. Ideally, I'd be able to find a company that had shipping to the United Kingdom and Europe that did not cost $1 trillion. But I don't know if any such company exists that can do the US as well as the UK and Europe without charging way too much money for shipping to the UK, and all that sort of stuff. So I don't know. It's I just haven't had time to even really look at that stuff super closely and see what makes the most sense. But but that is something I very much would like to do one of these days here, man. Fuck. It's interesting. You know, you get a lot of high-minded ideas about like, oh, well, then we're going to do this, then we're going to do this, then we're going to do this. And then it's like, okay, also I'm the only person doing this still. And I got to figure out this and this and this and this and then this other stuff. And it adds up fast and suddenly you're out of time. Speaking of which, we're out of time. I hope everybody has a tremendous rest of your Tuesday. The plan is to stream as normal on Wednesday and Friday. But as I said at the top of the show, we've got some interesting things happening around house guests. And so I don't know if that's going to impact how things are going for the rest of this week and all of that sort of stuff. So, yeah, I will update stuff on the Discord as appropriate and let people know if those streams are moving. But unless you hear otherwise, I will be back here tomorrow morning. Maybe a little late because I think there's another doctor appointment. I think, yeah, we did some appointments and some other stuff going on too. So just bear with me. We'll get on the internet. We'll play some goddamn video games. Maybe we'll find the real ZX Spectrum version of Afterburner next time, and all that sort of stuff. Anyway, have a good rest of your day. I'm gonna hit this music button, and yeah, I'll see you soon. Bye.